Welcome back to the best division in football with your boys Awthentik and the Beard, the best television show not on TV. Man, I cannot believe we are here 20 weeks into football and the New York Giants are still in the mix, man, along with the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, who had to bye their first week. Now, after beating the Bucs, the Cowboys are headed to San Fran to take on the 49ers. And after beating the Vikings, who fired their defensive coordinator, Ed Donatel, today, I don't know if the Giants had anything to do with that, but my best guess would be that they did have something to do with that. The Giants will head to Philly to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. And this is going to be the last week that I can say this to the Beard, that the Washington football team is the only team from the NFC East that is not in the playoffs. Big shout out to my guy one time. Y'all know what it is, man. The best co-host in the country. The strong side to my left side. I see him backstage. He doesn't look too happy about that statement I just said. Mr. Beard himself.
I can't wait till it's over. I don't want to have to hear it anymore. Hey, listen, we're out here. We're trying to, find an offensive coordinator, find an identity, find some wins. Draft's coming up soon. It's just, I'm hanging out, man. I'm ready. I'm
hanging out, man.
I'm watching some football. But, this is going to be an exciting weekend. I mean, somebody asked me earlier today when I was streaming on Whatnot, they said, who are you taking, Cincinnati or Buffalo? And I was like, I don't know, man. Like,
I know who you taking. I
mean, that's what I was thinking, right? Like, I know who I'm taking. But then I thought about it. I was like, I don't know. Buffalo might be on a track. Giants might be on a track. Cowboys, So we're going to have to wait and see. But I think that we're in store for, last weekend was great. Every game was pretty much close except for 49ers and Seahawks. But that was even close, the first half.
Good 3 quarters, good football there.
Yeah. So I think we're in store for some nice old school football. You know what I'm saying? Some good matchups. It's going to be very interesting. Obviously, Cowboys, 49ers, that kind of brings me back to the 90s a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And then, obviously, Eagles, Giants is a NFC East division. And then, Buffalo and Cincinnati are two of the teams that kind of been away for a long time. And over the last few years have kind of come back into the mix. And then obviously you got Kansas City, who's, they're not quite a dynasty, but, they have the components of a dynasty to a certain extent, obviously. And, they're here every year. And then you got the Jacksonville Jaguars. I got a
lot of people are picking the Jags, man. A lot of people.
The Commanders might not be in it, but I still got a couple of horses in this race,
I
Jacksonville,
was chopping
Cincinnati.
it up with Ben Ball yesterday, right? And he was like, yeah, my number one team is not in the playoffs, but, I got a couple of my other teams in the playoffs. And I look, he couldn't see my face. We were on Xbox, but my face went.
He could hear your face, probably.
He could hear my face, right? It was like, the hell is you talking about? You got 4 and 5 teams, man. I got one team I rep. That's the New York Giants. That. Ain't no Jaguars, no Bengals, no Texans.
Listen. Those are my second or third teams. I just, I picked them a lot to win. That's all. But I'm excited. I really am. I told Awthentik before we started today, I said, I still don't know who I'm going to choose. And listen, all of the Giants fans here, all of Awthentik and the Beard, I want you guys to know, no matter what happens here today, still love you guys, okay?
You sound like you're picking against us.
No, it's not. No, that's not the case.
You sound like you're giving us an alley-oop for the letdown.
Listen, you already know I came prepared, back in the 90s, since we're talking about the 90s, back in the 90s when you was a kid, right? You was riding in, I don't know if you remember the brown station wagon my parents used to have back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And in the old cars, they used to have the pouches in the seats. I don't know. I feel like they don't make those pouches on the back of seats anymore.
That's a good question.
I know
there some of the newer vehicles do.
There would always be those big map books. Because there was the GPS back then. So I brought one of those today for the New York Giants, and we're gonna get to that. Yes.
We appreciate it. We're gonna get
to that. But
this map better not be no bullshit though.
Listen, my map's been good.
The map was all right. We had to get the chat to vote to lean on to give you the 0.5 so you could breach, the halfway point last time.
I got the 4.
And we got the 0.5 according to YouTube's statistics.
It was 42%, right?
Yeah, so you could say you tied. You tied. Did the tie give you a win when you played the New York Giants?
You know what?
You like that. You like that, right? Because I don't think it did.
It definitely didn't. Definitely did not. But besides that, I'd like to say big shout out to each and every one of you who are rocking with us right now on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and of course, the home of Awthentik in the Beard, right here on the YouTubes. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. We definitely appreciate all the love and all the support. Don't forget to tell a friend to tell a friend. It's about to be a banger of a show. Oh, I didn't even mention, we're giving away some sweet prize tonight.
I like how you said some sweet prize. Big shout out to Cernog one time, man, for sponsoring tonight's prize. We're going to be doing a trivia section here in between the games right before we do the Giants preview. And this is going to be tonight's prize we're giving away here. Pretty beautiful Lawrence Taylor jersey, man. Retro vibe. Stitch numbers on this one, too, man. Vintage. Big shout out to Cernog, man. At Chris Cernog on Twitter if you want to follow him. He's got a ton of old school, not just Giant stuff. Any team you represent, he got it. I'm sure he got it. And me and the Beard, we're definitely overdue to get down there and check him out, man, so that I can maybe like double up on some of this Giants, apparel one time down here.
Yeah, I put Cernoc's eBay store and his Instagram also in the description of this video, so you guys can check him out, do a little bit of shopping. He's got insane amount of hats, clothes, shoes. It's crazy. Like he has a whole store in his basement. So big shout out to Cernog. Big shout out to Coach Taylor.
He ready for this Cowboys victory right here. You already know.
Yes. Big shout out to Coach Taylor. Full hearts, clear eyes. Can't lose, Coach Taylor. Shout out to J-Mo in the building.
I was wondering who you was pointing at. You was pointing. I was like, pointing. Am I supposed to be doing something right now?
No, I'm pointing to my players. You know, that's how Coach Taylor gives some of the best speeches. Like he makes you want to go out there and do something good, not just on a football
Friday
field.
Night Lights going to start paying us some money the way you talking about that.
No, I'm almost done. I got like one season left. Oh, okay. They got that new show on HBO Max. You gotta watch it. It's only one episode at a time, like old school. But the first episode just came out this last Sunday, dog. It is crazy. So definitely check that out. It does, but I always forget what it is. I think it's the Last of Us, I think is what it's called. I'm sure somebody in the chat knows. If somebody in the chat knows.
No, that's the joint on Netflix somebody was talking about. Okay, I'll look into it and try and check it out.
Crazy good. Big shout out to SHU Carter in the building. I saw the Awthentik tweet too. He said, I want my credit. I got the receipts. Big dog.
Yeah, I don't necessarily need the credit. I just want them to know how the tree became the tree. The big dog tree was a seed one day, and Awthentik planted that seed into the dirt of 5 years of bad New York Giants football, and then here we have a big dog nowadays. And then I see Sterling Shepard using that big dog vibes all up and down the sidelines, man. I was happy to see that. I was definitely happy to see that.
Big shout out to Shep. Big shout out to Prime Time. Say salute to Awthentik in the Beard. It's still on. Payback season continues our way. Big shout out to Jesse in the mix. Appreciate you stopping by. Our international viewership is here early. Shout out to our guy Yam in Japan checking in. It's already Friday in Japan, so shout out to Yam. Happy Friday.
One more day for you over there. You get to see my New York Giants do their thing.
Heavyweight champion of the world is in the building. Woo!
Oh, I like that. A little Ric Flair. I'll give you a 7 on that.
There we go. Beige Boy is back. I was missed you last episode. I didn't see Beige Boy. I didn't see Kevin. I was missing all my Commanders fans. So shout out to Yam. Shout out to Beige.
They clocked out, bro. They clocked out, yo.
Big shout out to Sean G in the mix. Said the nerves are starting to kick in. Let's beat Philly. And our guy,
Michael Knight was popping, fam.
Big shout out to Michael Knight. Appreciate you rocking with us. Carl Wilkinson is in the building. Says, hey, yo, let's go, G-Man. Getting hyped. Edward Squires is in the mix. And our very own Awthentik in the Beard sideline beat reporter, Marjorie, is in the building. What's going on, Marjorie? Dropping them Marge bombs. Giants Mafia is in the building.
Okay.
More of our international viewers back to back. Big shout out to Lucas checking in from Australia. We appreciate you as always, Lucas. It is always a pleasure and great to see your name in the building.
Looking for a victory.
looking for a victory. Big shout out to Alvaro checking in from Chi, lay, Chile. We are all over the world, ladies and gentlemen. Fabian is in the building. Appreciate you stopping by. Flem Dog is in the mix. Alpha Mason is in the mix.
What up?
Can Zen Zero?
Kansan Zero, I say. Kansan.
There we go.
Yeah.
CJ Talks is in the mix.
Big shout out CJ in the building.
CJ,
What up?
Appreciate you. Ben Bayou is in the mix. Good to see you.
I was just talking about Ben Bayou in the building. Yeah. What's going on? Hope your 15 makes it to the championship game this week.
And I got my glasses clear. Cage Havoc is in the mix.
There you go.
Shout out to Cage.
There you go.
Immortal 72 is in the building. Walking Immortal. Your trap. Take over your trap.
That's been the theme. Let's keep it going, man. Big shout out to Immortal in the building.
Here comes Cowboys Nation. Kai 001 is in the building. Big shout out to Kai.
Big shout out,
Gotta give a big shout out to Monique who shared the stream on Twitter and said, I need Cowboys Nation here because there's a bunch of delusional fans who thought Daniel Jones had a better performance than Dak Prescott.
Okay. We tossing out shots out there one time. Okay, Monique.
Big shout out to Monique. We appreciate you rocking with us as always. Ray W is in the mix. Hey,
Ray.
Here we go. Cowboys fans are here. BB Jones is in the building. Big shout out to our guy, No Mets, No Nets, No Jets. Simon RTDB is in the mix. Appreciate you, Simon,
Big
for
shout
joining us. Nerd Case, what's going on, my guy? Good to see you. Host Dahora is in the mix.
That's dope. What's up, host?
Oh, nice. AJ Nix is in the mix. Who else we got? Our guy.
James Funk holding us down.
On Facebook, holding us down. We appreciate you. Hey. Parking Lot Peace said, I'm just going to sit here on Facebook for a minute. Appreciate you.
Shout out to Chris checking in on Facebook one time. I think that's a first right there.
It is. Big shout out to my guy, Sal. What's going on, Sal? Appreciate you stopping by.
What up, Sal? What up?
Always. Who else we got? I want to make sure I don't miss anybody in the building. Marquise is here. What's going on, Marquise? Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. Big Dash is in the mix. 40 Luck is in the mix.
Luck in the building. What's up?
Virginia. I got
Virginia's
some more
in the building.
Commander Love in the building. I appreciate it. Shout out to each and every one of you all rocking with us today. We definitely appreciate it. Shout out to everybody. Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and right here on the YouTubes.
All right, Beard. Let
Gretz
the game
says
begin,
hi
man.
From her and Annalie. Big shout out
Gretz
to Gretz
in the building.
and
Yeah, that's what's up. Just got the hair did today.
My wife Josie, she's out. She's doing the corporate thing. You know, she's got a corporate dinner. She's out.
I know how those go. About to pull back up, turned up. Corporate dinners. I love them. Just another reason to get drunk.
Shout out to my wife. I love you, Josie.
All right, man. Stage is set, man. You ready to get into this first matchup one time? I know these Cowboys fans are.
They're ready. I'm ready.
You know, Monique was a little bit upset last week. Roadmap for the Giants. You supposedly not a Giants fan, and no roadmap for the Cowboys. She was a little upset about that. So I think let's make a bet here. If the Cowboys win, they deserve a roadmap next week.
Absolutely, 100%. I will give the Cowboys a roadmap if they can somehow miraculously win this game.
Miraculously. Well, all right, we know who the Beard is picking. Let's get right to it, y'all. All right, there's a lot going on in this game, man. There's a lot going on. This one is going to be Sunday at 6:30 p.m. The Saturday-Sunday schedule is a little bit funky. You know, the Giants game is at 8. The Cowboys game is at 6:30 the day after. A little bit strange. Last week, the Cowboys beat the Bucs 31-14. The 49ers beat the Seahawks 41-23. The series record. Now, this seems to be the theme across the whole playoffs. All these teams trying to get to that 500 mark here. Cowboys lead this series between them and the 49ers 19-18-1. So a loss, which I think that's what you're looking for here, will put the Cowboys with the 49ers right at 500. San Francisco and Dallas are meeting for the 9th time in the playoffs, with Dallas winning 5 of the previous 8. The last meeting, the 49ers beat the Cowboys 23-17. That was in the wild card round last year. Cowboys have a 6-game losing streak in the divisional round. It's the longest since the NFL merger. So Cowboys fans, I know Washington, y'all been struggling a little bit too. It's been a while for y'all, but it's really been a minute for these Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys' last divisional playoff win was in 1995. They had 4 consecutive, though, leading up to that one in 1995. And they did win the Super Bowl in 1995. So if they can win this game, they're going to increase their chances of making it to a Super Bowl. And they definitely need it. The win over the Bucs ended an 8-game road playoff losing streak for the Dallas Cowboys, which was tied for the second longest in NFL history. The 49ers are in the divisional round for the 3rd time in 4 seasons, going to the Super Bowl in the 2019 season, and they were in the NFC title game last season. 49ers became the 2nd team ever to gain at least 500 yards. This nugget right here had me like, oh my God. They became the 2nd team ever to gain at least 500 yards, score 40 or more points, and commit 0 turnovers in a playoff win. Only 2 teams have ever done that before. 49ers have now won 11 straight games for the first time since 1997. Dallas Cowboys fans, y'all bear with me. When I said there was a lot for this intro, it's a lot for the 49ers because they've been balling out this season, man. I swear to God. 49ers' most recent winning streak that was longer than 11 games was from 1989 to 1990. You want to take a guess at how many games they won straight over 2 seasons?
12?
18 straight games they won, man. Ridiculous for them 49ers in Joe Montana days. 49ers went 9-1 at home this season. It's their best home record since going 8-0 in 1998. And the 49ers had a positive turnover margin in 9 straight games. Longest active streak since the 2000 Ravens did it. We know that the 2000 Ravens was definitely built upon that defense. I remember looking at the statistics for the quarterback. I wanted to say Hasselback, but it's Dilfer, Trent Dilfer. Dude had like 8 touchdowns the whole entire season with that 2000 Ravens team. They were pretty bad. But this quarterback here for the San Francisco 49ers, man, this kid's been playing lights out football. He was the last pick in the NFL draft this past season. That's quarterback Brock Purdy. He's trying to join Joe Flacco and Mark Sanchez. That's an interesting bunch to join as the only rookie quarterbacks to win their first 2 playoff starts. Purdy is 6-0 as a starter and has thrown at least 2 touchdown passes in 7 straight games. Threw for 332 yards and 3 touchdowns last week. He also rushed for a touchdown as well, becoming the first rookie to account for at least 4 touchdowns in a playoff game. So he's in a class of his own right there. 49ers offense has been really good this year. Overall, they're the 5th-ranked offense. Their rushing offense is ranked 8th. Passing offense ranked 13th. In scoring, they're ranked 6th. And a lot of that has to do with the big trade of the year. My man Hefe, who was here last stream, he talked about what was a better trade than Christian McCaffrey, because Christian McCaffrey was definitely one of the best trades of the season. I said Isaiah Hodgins. He actually said one of the best pickups. I said Isaiah Hodgins. I was kind of lightly joking there, but Christian McCaffrey, man, 7 straight games with at least 1 touchdown. And I think Deebo Samuel was a big factor in this game coming back off injury. You know, he had the injury in the regular season that looked like he was going to be out for the playoffs at first. You know, the way he was in pain on the ground and whatnot, people were speculating that could have been an ACL. But it wasn't. It was an ankle injury that he had. He ended up having 165 yards from scrimmage last week. And Deebo, in 7 playoff games, averages 97.9 scrimmage yards. So keep that in your bag for when we do these over-unders. Make sure y'all pull up on Saturday before the games. We're going to be doing a stream at 1 o'clock on both days, and we'll be doing the over-unders on that day. Today, we're not going to be doing the over-unders. But Brock Purdy, a big reason why this San Francisco 49ers team is hot right now. We know that the playoffs is all about what teams can get hot. You think the Dallas Cowboys going to have a chance with their offense trying to match up with what the San Francisco 49ers offense is doing, or you think it's going to be a defensive matchup?
Well, listen, okay? The Dallas Cowboys have a chance, 100%. I'm not going to, be that obviously,
That's flower number 1 for y'all right there.
Flower number 1.
Y'all have a chance.
If the Dallas Cowboys play like that, if the Dallas Cowboys play like they did last week, they can win this game. There's a lot of interesting matchups here, okay? A lot of interesting matchups. Now, I try to look at things. I do want to give a big shout-out to Marquise and to Kai. I see them in the chat. They said, you make sure you bring up the fact that the San Francisco 49ers had a quote-unquote Lil Debbie schedule. Okay, there was
okay.
a cake schedule there. Okay,
Cupcake schedule. Okay.
They were 1-3 against winning teams. You know, so there's some interesting numbers there. I'm not going to ignore you guys. I see you. I hear you. You know what I'm saying? But to me, it's just the big difference I feel like between these two teams has been consistency. Now, obviously, Dallas has, turned it around in that last game, or else they wouldn't be here. So I think that, for now, we have to assume that the Dallas Cowboys are kind of on the right track, okay, as far as productivity, execution, and playing smart. But the problem is that San Francisco 49ers ain't the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, okay? We're going to put that out right now, okay? They're not Tampa Bay. That defense is legit, okay?
Yeah. Now, the Cowboys did handle the Bucs. It wasn't like it was a close game. I just want to throw that out there. That's flower number one from Awthentik.
I mean, they had two hands on it, okay? And it was like Dak was pedaling the bike, and you had, Schultz was sitting on the handlebars, okay? Tony Pollard was on the pegs, and Micah Parsons was on, like, the little sidecar. Okay?
Dak Prescott was doing all the work is what you're saying. Takes a strong. I mean, back in my day on the BMX, I could do those kind of. I might even be able to. We got an extra bike somehow in the mix. I might be able to take both bikes home, ride one bike, hold the handlebars on the other bike, somebody riding on the pegs, and still get back. So Dak Prescott was definitely putting in some work, man. 5 touchdowns is major.
Yeah, definitely major. Now we can't. We said last episode, Dak Attack is back, Jack. Okay, we don't want. We don't want the bad Dak Attack to be back, Jack. If you're a San Francisco, if you're a Dallas Cowboys
you started fan. You started that back Jack Black. What was the quarterback again?
Zach.
Speaking of Zach, man, let's give a shout out.
Big shout out to Zach with a $4.99 super chat. Says the Giants have never lost to a number 1 seed in the playoffs since 1990. 6-0. That is the longest streak in NFL history, and more than any team in NFL history.
That's a gangster nugget right there. He paid us for the nugget. That's gangster right there. That's a gangster nugget, Zach. We definitely appreciate that, man.
Definitely appreciate you. And while we're here, we might as well say shout out to Lax044 with a $4.99 super chat. Says, let's go Giants. We grilling up some fresh bird on Saturday night.
I'm
Have
ready.
you ever eaten any bird besides chicken?
Probably. I mean, both my folks from Haiti, we did have a guinea chicken flying around in the house live.
Classic story.
Well, okay, so
Classic story.
I'm sure somewhere along the lines, I ate some bird in that crib that wasn't chicken.
Where is Sebastian and JG? I need to know if y'all have ever had guinea chicken before.
Yeah, I know. When you see him in the
today.
chat, make sure to ask him that.
And we got to give a
We
shout out.
saw a guinea chicken. And we
didn't just see one. We had to catch it.
Right. Boy, my mom was about to be crazy. My mom never found out about that. She never found out about that.
That is a story I have told a million times in my life because it's so good. If you guys haven't seen the picture of Awthentik with the St. Catherine's, ode to Franco Harris uniform and pads and stuff, some of that equipment was used in the capturing of that guinea chicken.
For more than football. God damn, that's a crazy story.
But big shout out to our contracted editing department who put out a really nice clip from the Tuesday Awthentik and the Beard show. Absolutely hilarious. If you guys
I thought you had the candid line on that clip too because I forget who it was. Oh, it was this guy's the homie with the penny symbol.
Dwight Saturday, something like that.
Dwight Saturday, right?
Yeah.
And he said, how are we going to be picking Daniel Jones pretty much as the best performance of the week when Dak Prescott put up 5 and he was like 5 touchdowns to 2 touchdowns, like y'all make it make sense. And the Beard's like, yeah, he's kind of got a point right there. I just put up the most serious face. Classic clip is definitely on my Twitter. It was on my Instagram yesterday. Shout out to Sebastian for chopping that up. We definitely got to do more stuff like that too.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the point here is Dak has to be good Dak, great Dak. He can't be bad Dak, okay? Because we know about the turnover situation. And he's going against his San Francisco 49ers team who was number 1 in the National Football League in interceptions defensively.
Yeah.
How many interceptions do you think San Francisco had this year?
I think you told me. You might have told me. Was it 20?
I told you. It was 20. It's
you
20.
told me. Yeah.
20 interceptions this year. So,
that's
wild. You definitely have to be careful with the ball if you're Dak Prescott. And then we talk about Christian McCaffrey in this San Francisco running attack is absolutely fantastic. And it's not just Christian McCaffrey. Let's not forget about Mitchell. That the change of pace between those two guys is fantastic. And both of them can catch the ball out of the backfield. There's so many weapons. I mean, Deebo Samuel can run the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on, obviously, with this San Francisco team. But Dallas, as bad as that rush defense has been yard-wise, okay, 22nd in the league in rush defense, giving up 129.3 yards per game. They are actually the third best team in the National Football League in the regular season in rushing touchdowns allowed. They have only allowed 9 rushing touchdowns all year long.
That the scoring defense is ranked 5th for the Cowboys. So they've definitely been a bend, don't break, although the weakness of that defense has been how you can attack them with the rushing attack for sure.
Yeah, and, talk about scoring defense. I mean, the San Francisco 49ers, they allow the fewest points in the National Football League. They're only allowing 16.3 points per game this year.
Yeah, they balling out.
That's crazy.
I've seen articles that are saying that this could quite possibly be the best San Francisco 49ers defense of all time.
And to me, it's, typically you see these teams, and I know you have Brock Purdy, right? But before I even get to that run defense for San Francisco, which is going to be critical because we talk about for Dallas how important Pollard and Zeke are to Dak's success.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's not necessarily just carrying the team or getting X amount of yards. It's just about having that balance. It really helps Dak out. And San Francisco's got the second best run defense in the National Football League. They're only giving up 77.7 yards per game on the ground.
Yeah.
And obviously
zero 100-yard rushers too this season. 0.
That's
number 1 rushing defense in the league.
That's crazy. Crazy. Big shout out to Kai001. The $9.99 super chat says the last team to start a rookie in a home divisional playoff game was Dallas in 2016, which was Dak.
Oof.
The Cowboys ended up losing to a Mike McCarthy coached football team.
That's some good food for thought.
That's a really interesting, what do they call those? Triangle of love? Is that what it's called?
Another nugget. That's a good
nugget.
I
mean, it's a nugget, but it's 6 degrees of separation sort of situation.
Yes. I'll give you that.
There we go. I don't know where I was going.
Triangle of love. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
But it's the defense. You could talk about the San Francisco defense for an entire episode in itself. And obviously, the Brock Purdy situation is a unique situation.
Yeah.
And you could say beginner's luck. You could say, Mr. Irrelevant, and it's an underdog story, this and that. But the truth of the matter is that he's come out and he's performed. Will it continue? Will there be a point where he has that bad game? I mean, are we going to see is this Tom Brady 2.0? We don't really know yet. It's just
I might want to pump the brakes on the Tom Brady talk, but I've heard people saying that. I've definitely heard people saying that.
Story-wise, as far as
to
Tom
start your
Brady
career off
2.0.
so consistent like this. I mean, I do think he is in the perfect system with San Francisco. You got the perfect head coach. I mean, everything is perfect there, but you still, as a quarterback, you still got to go out there and make the plays. And he's going out there, he's making the plays. I saw a hierarchy. I believe this was from Nick Wright, actually, talking about the hierarchy of quarterbacks, and a lot of Giants fans were upset that Daniel Jones was at the bottom of this hierarchy as the 8th quarterback in the playoffs right now, and they had Brock Purdy at 7, and I was talking with Kid Blue about it. Kid Blue was like, this is the kind of stuff that I can't stand from national critics and da-da-da, and I was like, well, if you kind of look at the stats, the kid every game has had multiple touchdown passes. We can look at the surroundings around him and say, yeah, some of that's happening because of surroundings, but you don't just go out there and throw multiple touchdowns in 6 straight games on accident. The passer rating, too, is higher than how Daniel Jones on the season. Granted, it's a small sample size to the large sample, however the beard puts that in most of our podcasts. Daniel Jones has played pretty much every game except the last game of the season, and Brock Purdy is playing, I believe, his 8th game coming up this weekend. So definitely a small sample size, but what we've seen from him so far, not a lot of quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks like this. We can't forget he's a rookie. It's not like he's some guy who was sitting the bench for a while, came out of nowhere, and now he's starting to play. He learned, behind a certain quarterback. This kid was the last pick in the draft, and he's going out there and he's playing extremely well. And I mean, even with what they have with the weapons on the offensive side of the ball, having a defense like that doesn't hurt either because they're going to set you up a great field position. They're going to set you up, with turnovers that'll put you in the red zone without even having to do much work and make things a little bit easier for you. But just using my eyes, Brock Purdy looks like a guy, man. The way that he can maneuver the pocket, the way that he has a little bit of savvy and a little bit of moxie when he's in the pocket to buy and extend plays and buy time and make those throws down the field. I'm seeing a kid who might be here for a while, and I think he's going to present a problem for the San Francisco 49ers after this season, no matter what happens from this point on.
Yeah, and you have to remember, too, for me, obviously, there's a lot of preparation that goes with Purdy as a rookie. A lot of times in college, a lot of these guys, who put up these big numbers, they play in these college, not necessarily college-style offenses, but like a college-style spread offense, okay? So, it allows and defense can be very lackluster a lot of times unless you're like Georgia and stuff like that in college. But
Tackling
Purdy
is awful
played
in college football. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know you've made that a point.
It's terrible.
On more than one occasion. But Purdy played in a pro-style offense at Iowa State. And I think that's something that a lot of people probably don't either know or don't realize how much of an impact it has on preparing him for the next level. So I think it definitely has helped, and you see that. But to me, and to go back to Tuesday when we talked about, how San Francisco hasn't really played that many top-tier defenses. And Dallas isn't necessarily a top-tier defense, but they're in the upper half of the league as far as defenses goes. They have top-tier talent on that defensive side of the ball at certain positions. The big problem for me for Dallas matchup-wise is going to be the amount of weapons that San Francisco has. It's different when you have, maybe one guy, right? Or, like a Justin Jefferson, and then you got a couple of nice complementary pieces, Thielen, Osborne.
Oh, they were stacked. Don't downplay that Vikings offense.
No, I'm not downplaying it, but I'm just saying, San Francisco is on another level.
Would you say that their weapons are that much better
than Minnesota's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that. I could make a great debate on that. Because George Kittle, I'll give him the tight end. He's
and Hockenson is great.
Hockenson is great, and it's not a massive fall off. But then Justin Jefferson is a number one is a massive difference between every wide receiver on that team.
Yes, because
running back goes to them.
Justin Jefferson is the best in the league. I think. Or in conversation of best in the league, right?
So you pretty much think San Francisco 49ers got the best set of weapons?
I think it's debatable. Yeah,
you got Miami, you got Philly.
I would take Kittle over Goddard, and I would take McCaffrey over Miles Sanders.
Yep.
But to me, from top to bottom, is the only spot that's a little sketchy for San Francisco is wide receiver 3. But Ayuk
and Ayuk at wide receiver 2, he's I would put him over a guy like Thielen, right? But then when you have Thielen and Osborne, I think that makes Ayuk the wash right there. If you go to Miami, I would go Jalen Waddle all day over Ayuk.
But they have no running back. And their tight end doesn't compete
Raheem Mostert is no CMC for sure.
Yeah. So to me, it's just that's where I think that the problem is going to be for Dallas is where do they focus their defense around?
I think they could take a page out of the New York Giants defense book, what we just presented against the Minnesota Vikings in the wild card round. Allow the tight end to get off and do, get over 100 yards and maybe a touchdown or something like that, because TJ Hockenson in both games, and this was my mistake with the New York Giants, I thought that they were going to go back to the drawing board and completely change up what they did offensively and defensively. And what they did instead is they just took upon that game plan from the first matchup and just improved on it. I think you got to find a way to stop Deebo Samuel and CMC number one on that offense. Kittle, I think you could manage with putting a safety on him, at least having a one-on-one matchup, allowing linebackers in coverage to try to do what they do, and allow him to, have a decent game and try to come away with your best shot at it. Get some pressure on the quarterback. Allow Brock Purdy to make those quicker throws to George Kittle, but don't allow him to get those big plays down the field. And he has been doing that the last 4 games. Brock Purdy in this offense, they've scored 37 or more points in 4 straight games, bro. That's the most. I don't know if this number is for the entire NFL. I wouldn't imagine this is for the entire NFL. I would imagine this is for the San Francisco 49ers. It's the most since 1953. So all those weapons that the San Francisco 49ers have had throughout all of these years, where even when you had T.O. out there, you had Rice out there, Monte, never did they score.
J.J. Stokes.
All of those, right? You could even go back to when they had Ricky Waters out there, right? None of those teams ever scored 37 or more points in 4 straight games. So this is where it's hard for me to gauge. Is Brock Purdy, the whole thing, we don't got tape on him. We can't keep saying that every game now. This is 7 games.
And Mike McCarthy came out. I don't know the exact quote, but it was something along the lines of, "We are not approaching Brock Purdy as if he's a rookie."
Oh yeah, you shouldn't. I mean, this is the playoffs. You gotta dot all your I's and cross all your T's, especially Mike McCarthy. He's in a situation where if they lose this game, I know things are feeling real good for the Dallas Cowboys right now after the wild card win, but they're going to look back at this team and go, this is supposed to be a Super Bowl roster. Why aren't we in the Super Bowl? Why aren't we at least in the NFC Championship game if they lose this game? And then you got to look at Mike McCarthy, who I think is, a pretty good coach. When we were hiring Joe Judge, I wanted Mike McCarthy. Now, since the narrative has kind of changed on Mike McCarthy, we've seen some blunders as far as time management, play calls, going for it in situations where you might not want to go for it on 4th down. But then again, we saw that with Doug Peterson in that game with the Jaguars in Wild Card Weekend. I was looking at those 2-point conversions, some of these 4th downs, like, bro, what are you doing? If you get them, they're right. So if Mike McCarthy could come out here and win this game, he's going to look like a genius. And I think if he can win this game against the San Francisco 49ers, him and Kellen Moore, that stock is just going to boost right back up.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that, like, it's crazy because we look at I look at San Francisco as this team, and Gregory, that's one of the things we started off with, has San Francisco played a team that's better than the Cowboys this year? I mean, I think they have, not like outrageously better.
I mean, the 49ers won one more game than the Dallas Cowboys. So these teams are pretty equal. The Dallas Cowboys have not played that great of competition either. We know that coming from the NFC East, all the NFC East teams have not played great competition. So I think that's what makes this matchup that much more intriguing, is that finally you got these two juggernauts going up against each other. The Cowboys game against the Philadelphia Eagles was supposed to be that matchup of the season in the regular season, but then Jalen Hurts ended up getting hurt, and you had to send out Gardner Minshew, which made that game a little bit like less of a high caliber matchup,
Yeah, I just.
And the first time I think it was what's his name playing quarterback for the Cowboys. Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush, yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't think, sometimes I have to, I'm not the right person, obviously, to take this conversation up. Not because of how I feel about Dallas, because I respect Dallas and the quality of play. But I am one that doesn't like to use or refer to or revert back to, SOS. Like, this isn't college football, this isn't college basketball. To me, the strength of schedule, it doesn't play as much of a role in the National Football League as some people make it out to be. Because
I'll give you that last bit. I'll give you the last bit. But
sometimes
I feel like matters.
Sometimes I feel like people will use it either, to only as a backbone to a certain argument or debate, right? Whereas, if you're going up against a team and they have a great record, if they have a soft schedule or easier schedule, it should be like, well, who have they played, right? But it's it's different in college football. In college basketball, you make your own schedules. In the NFL, you don't really have a choice. You are,
of course, you got to play who you're going to play. But I also think this with the 49ers and with the Dallas Cowboys, it's interesting. These two teams were very different early on in the year. We know Dak Prescott week 1 hurts the thumb. Then you get 5 straight weeks of Cooper Rush at quarterback. So when you look at the first 6 weeks of Dallas, we almost can't even judge it. Now do the same thing for the San Francisco 49ers. They came out here and tried to start Lance at quarterback. He ends up getting hurt. You try this stuff with Jimmy Garoppolo, and now towards the end of the season, you got a totally different new quarterback. You traded for a guy in CMC at the trade deadline. So these are two, especially offensively, they're two different teams. I got the 49ers schedule right in front of me. The toughest team that I see that they played on their schedule has to be the Dolphins, who they beat 33-17, and that game was in December, and also the Kansas City Chiefs, who the Kansas City Chiefs pretty much handled business against them, beat them in October 44-23. But like I said, at the end of October, that team that the Kansas City Chiefs played against with the 49ers, it's a totally different built team.
Absolutely. And I mean, Dallas's probably toughest games came in the division, I would imagine, like against the Eagles and the Giants, who are playoff teams. And then, they played Minnesota. But then the teams that, to me, that's a kind of an interesting point if you want to talk about schedule, is how Dallas plays against the teams that have better records than the teams that they play against that have worse records. Like, do they, I guess maybe they play up to their competition, which might bolster well in Dallas's favor in this situation. But, like there's instances where Dallas has come out and played teams like Houston, like Green Bay at that time when they played Green Bay, and have
and they took the L to Green Bay.
Last game of the season. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
the Green Bay game was so interesting because you can't forget, right? Like Green Bay was on that losing streak. I want to say it was at least 3. It might have been 4 straight games that they had lost. It was starting with the Giants in London. Then y'all beat them. I think the Eagles ended up beating them. Somebody else beat the Packers, and then finally they got off and they beat the Cowboys after the Cowboys had blown out the Minnesota Vikings the previous week before that.
Yeah, and
or maybe it was vice versa with the Vikings game. I think the Cowboys actually came back after losing to the Packers and then beat the Vikings the way that they did. Yeah. But, you can't forget about that fourth quarter onslaught that the Cowboys did against the Indianapolis Colts as well. I mean, there's been some games where the Cowboys have showed up in a major way. Yeah, the competition might not be, as tough as some of the other teams have played across the league, but both of these teams have benefited from playing a easier schedule. I see somebody said that the 49ers played 4 playoff teams to end the year. And it's not, or was it December? They said so. It was the Commanders, the Seahawks, the Bucks, and the Dolphins. So 3 of their 4 games in December were against playoff teams. But when you look at the Bucks, they were under 500. When you look at the Seahawks, they backed into the playoffs with the the Green Bay Packers lost to the Detroit Lions in the last game of the season.
Yeah, so it's gonna come down to a couple of things for me. Obviously, if Dallas's offense can click the way that it was against Tampa Bay, that's going to be very critical for them. Obviously, they're going to have to protect the ball. You cannot turn the ball over. When Dallas doesn't turn the ball over, they're a completely different team. I know that sounds like obvious and cliche, but there are some teams that can overcome turnovers. Dallas is not one of them, especially against a team like San Francisco, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Now, if Dallas can, I think not just Dallas, but a lot of teams are culprits of this, and that's abandoning the run way early than they have to. They kind of get anxious, and they're like, okay, we got to start passing the ball. Stick to the run as much as you possibly can. It'll definitely benefit the Dallas Cowboys in the end. And then for me, it's obviously San Francisco. Like, are they going to be able to attack Dallas's run defense, which I think is, lackluster to say the least. And then for Dallas defensively, can they contain all of the weapons on San Francisco? Because there are so many weapons. You have the 2 running backs in McCaffrey and Mitchell. You have Kittle. You have Debo. You have Ayuk. There's so many weapons. Where does Dallas find the personnel to match up with these guys defensively? To me, that's what it's going to come down to.
I don't think you got to match up one, per position, per group. If you can get pressure on a quarterback, it'll nullify all that. The New York Giants can speak from experience in the 2007 Super Bowl. They had hella weapons on that Patriots team. You get to Tom Brady, you can stop all of that. It's all about Micah Parsons in that front. If they can get to Brock Purdy, force him to get a little bit uncomfortable, which we haven't seen really in any game. I think you saw it in one series against the Seattle Seahawks where you saw him roll out to his left and he had to throw the ball away 3 times in a row after they figured out how to get some pressure down the middle. Micah Parsons, just to go over some numbers with him real quick too, 3rd player ever to have at least 13 sacks in each of his first 2 seasons. He got his first playoff sack this past weekend against the Bucks, and Parsons had a record against Tom Brady this season. He had 8 pressures against Tom Brady in that playoff game. That's the most on Tom Brady all year long. I talked about Leighton Vander Esch coming back in that lineup and how that could help the Cowboys stop the run, which you saw the Bucks didn't even commit to the run. They had Tom Brady throw the ball 66 times, which was absolutely ridiculous, but Leighton Vander Esch did lead them in tackles versus the Bucs. He had 9 tackles. And in the wild card matchup last year where they ended up losing that game, Van Der Esch had 13 tackles in that game as well. So he's got to show up and have one of his best games, get pressure on his quarterback, and I think you can kind of contain some of these offensive weapons. You got to start with Deebo Samuel. You know, I talked about the 165 yards from scrimmage last week, 97.9 scrimmage yards in 7 playoff games. Try to contain him. You can eliminate at least one weapon. I think you can't focus on trying to stop all of them. You got to just focus on trying to limit one of them in particular, and then you can look at a squad now and you look at it like you're going up against a rookie quarterback who was the last pick in the draft, and you got to stop George Kittle and try to stop the run. They also got their D tackle back last week who showed up in a major way, I feel like, as far as stopping the run. Maybe he can do that again. I think that's Jonathan Hankins for the Cowboys. Maybe he can do that again. But also you got to score points like you talked about. The 49ers defense has been one of the best defenses all year. I forget their defensive coordinator, former player, too. He was a beast when he was a player.
DeMarco Ryan?
Is that his last name? Ryan? DeMarco Ryans? I can't remember. I'm not 100% sure, but I know that their defensive coordinator has been balling out this year. And they've been a team that when they need the turnover, they get the turnover. You look at the Seattle Seahawks game, right? They were in that game. They were leading at the half. They were right down there in the red zone, ready to score. A penalty set them back from like a 3rd and 9 to a 3rd and 15. And Pete Carroll tries to get a little bit cute and try to throw the ball with a tight red zone there. It's very hard to throw the ball, especially when you got 3rd and 14, whatever it was on that down. And then Geno Smith drops back. The pressure ends up getting to Geno Smith. He fumbles the ball. To me, the game was over at that point. So you have to protect the ball. I got a couple little things that I went over, not quite a roadmap, but just things that I felt that the Dallas Cowboys are going to have to do in this game if they want to have a chance. Because just like you talked about, the running game for the Dallas Cowboys is so important. I was going to say Tony Pollard needs to get over 100 yards until I saw that statistic that said that the 49ers defense has not allowed a 100-yard rusher all year long. So combined between him and Ezekiel Elliott, I think they need to get at least 125 yards on the ground. Get things set up for Dak so that he can be able to run play action and be comfortable in the pocket. If Dak starts to get rattled, it's going to all fall apart for the Dallas Cowboys. The other thing is, I think Dak can afford to throw 1 interception. Anything more than that, they're going to be in serious trouble. Like you talked about, the Dallas Cowboys bouncing back from all of these turnovers, especially when you get 2. And it seems like there was a couple of games there where Dak Prescott threw 2 interceptions, and you really have no shot at winning the game. The third one, I just talked about it, which is getting pressure on Brock Purdy, and especially up the middle. I think you got to try to flush him to the outside so that you can use some of your speed on the outside, guys like Micah Parsons, to be able to make the play after you get the pressure down the middle. And then on the opposite side of the ball, we talked about this with the over-unders, CMC, 100 scrimmage yards. I think you got to keep him under 100. That they seem to ramp him up and do what the Giants do with Saquon Barkley in the second half. They seem to ramp CMC up in the second half, and that's when he starts to take over. He'll get the one big run and then, get over that 100 scrimmage yards, and that's not a good recipe. That starts to open up the pass for Brock Purdy and the rest of these weapons on that offense. And defensively, the Cowboys got to get back to their ways. They need to force a takeaway in this game, whether it be a fumble, strip sack, interception. You got to force one in this game. And if you don't force one, then Dak Prescott's going to have a perfectly clean game as far as the turnovers go, and he can't throw an interception, and he can't get strip sacked in this game. So find a way to have the balance with the turnovers. Time of possession could play a factor in this one. I don't think it'll play as large of a factor because both of these teams can run the ball. I'm looking for a way to say that I can pick the Cowboys confidently to win this game because you know me, bro. I want to see the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants in this NFC Championship game with all my heart. It would take me back to the throwback days. My brother is a Cowboys fan. That would just be an amazing, amazing rivalry to see a game where the winner of that game will be between the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants, and the winner will be going to the Super Bowl. And lastly, I see a couple of homies in the chat. Big shout out to the homie Hefe. El Hefe's in the building, and Doug Analytics is in the building. I've been telling y'all this for like 2 or 3 podcasts. Make sure y'all go follow at Doug_Analytics, especially if you're a Giants fan on Twitter, dropping some of the best nuggets. I look at his Twitter every time before we go live to see if there's any nuggets on there that I might want to try to grab. And I always try to give him his props when I steal some nuggets. I give him a little dip in the barbecue sauce and give him his props one time. But Doug Analytics doing a fantastic job. And he also breaks down a lot of stuff that has to do with EPA, which is like, I'm not in-depth on EPA as far as statistics go, so I don't like to talk about it as much. But if you are digging for those kind of numbers, Doug is definitely the guy. And as far as humor goes in the New York Giants community, El Jefe is the guy, man. So big shout out to both of them, man. Make sure y'all go subscribe.
Big shout out. And big shout out to Monique, who channeled her inner LaMamba James and said, "What? They overcame all except one of Dak's 15 turnovers. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, didn't Dak played against Washington, right? They lost that game.
They lost that game.
Yeah, and I mean, this isn't the regular season. I think this is why we brought up strength of schedule a little bit here, too, because this isn't like a game where you're going up against the Houston Texans and Dak Prescott can go out there and make a mistake and you still win the game. This has to be one of Dak's, I'm not going to say flawless. He don't got to put up 5 touchdowns like he did last week, right? But he's got to go out there and have a good game. You're not going to win this game if Dak goes out here and throws a couple interceptions, unless you force some turnovers yourself. I mean, we have seen some crazier stuff happen. Yeah. We've seen playoff games where, come out there and there's 2 interceptions from one offense and 2 from another. So, but I wouldn't bank on that. I would bank on Dak Prescott having a good game, predicated on at least a decent rushing attack from the Cowboys. Tony Pollard, for me to pick the Cowboys, it's got to be with Tony Pollard having one of his better games.
Yeah, definitely need Tony Pollard to have a game. Not even just – oh, and I did want to give – hold on. Flower alert, because you guys know I love Tony Pollard as a running back, as a football player. Big shout-out to Tony Pollard, because one of the main reasons why we speculated, and I think most people in the football world – why Pollard wasn't getting as much burn was because not necessarily because of how bad he was a pass blocker, but how good Zeke was as a pass blocker. Yep. Tony Pollard looked like a huge difference in his pass blocking, I noticed in that Tampa Bay game. So big shout out to my guy Tony Pollard for picking up the pass blocking abilities.
Tony's that'll get you on free the field agent more. At the end of the year. You're trying to do some recruiting here, man?
No. We have a Tony Pollard already and Antonio Gibson. So.
Oh, he's a free agent this year too, right?
I don't think so. No, I think he has one more year left on his deal.
Okay.
Yeah. Big shout out to Behind the Fiends for $5 super chat. Says, aloha. Sorry I was late uploading a video to my channel, but I'll say this. Bosa gets to Dak a lot, and he's going to get shook and make some mistakes.
And Bosa was a problem in that last game, man. He's definitely a problem.
This I like this Bosa a little bit more than the other Bosa. This is very true though too, Monique. Very true too. You gotta. That's always a Dallas thing, and I think we touched on how good they were in against Tampa Bay in that that sort of realm of the penalties. I want to say they only had 2 penalties against Tampa Bay. Is that what it was?
Yeah, 2 penalties. Yeah.
Only 2 penalties. So that's definitely something to keep your eye out in this game. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be good old fashioned fun football for a guy who has no horse in this race. For Dallas Cowboys fans, probably not gonna be fun unless you're doing the Batman thing on the sideline at the end of the game. Besides that, it's just gonna be straight stress and hair pulling seat.
So give him a score here. You think it's gonna be a close game before you give him a score?
So close is under double-digit points, right?
I mean, you beat me like 34-24. It's not really a close game. Close game got 1 score, bro. 1 score.
Yeah. I'm gonna go 27-20 San Francisco.
27-20. Okay. So you did keep it kind of close there. I like that. I want to start a poll in the chat to see how the chat feels about this one.
Shout out to Dan Cam. Says, yo, loving this. We appreciate you.
That's my fam right
there.
Shout
out to everybody in the chat, everybody who's watching us, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and of course here on the YouTubes. Don't forget, once we finish wrapping up the Cowboys and 49ers, we're going to be giving away a Lawrence Taylor jersey, hopefully to a lucky New York Giants fan. Shout out to graphics department. Shout out to Cernox Connection. Big shout out to everybody in the chat. There he is. He's in the building now. Sebastian.
There he is. What's up, man?
Shout out to our guy Sebastian. Just had the most elite nap ever.
Oh, you gotta love those, man. Great power nap one time. Well, you just in time for this Giants giveaway and this Giants preview going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, man. So, I feel like when I did my research on this game, everything just leans towards the 49ers. I'll keep it real. I think if the Cowboys play a good game, they can definitely keep it close. I'm at times you got to go with your mind, and at other times you got to go with your heart. I think I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys in a close game here. I'm going to go 28-27 Dallas Cowboys.
I could see that. I could totally see that.
Just gotta contain that offense. Don't make no mistakes, man. Don't make no mistakes. And we got a lot of Cowboys fam in the building. This game don't affect me one way or the other. It'd be great to see them get a W for all the fam that pulls up in the chat. They've been rocking with us here now for at least 20 weeks, man. All the Kais and the Gregories and the BB Jones and the Texas boys and all them, man. Like, it would be great to see them get a victory. Can't forget Monique, because Monique gonna send me a text after that dub, like, yo, I told you. So I don't want to be that I told you so. You can send them texts to the Beard one time and let him know. He's got 27-20. It's interesting. We both have the same amount of points for the 49ers. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going 28-27. And the chat, let me get the 5-second countdown for the chat one time, Beard.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. End poll.
That's exactly what it says. The chat's going 69%. We have 42 votes. 69% is picking the 49ers. So we got 30%. Cowboys Nation is definitely in the building one time. Yeah. And I'd say, for that 49 or for that 69% for the 49ers.
Spike don't care.
I'm sure Spike don't care too much about that one.
Shout out to El Jefe, who's going to give a shout out to our behind the scenes department.
We got workers back here, man. We cloned it up, took the DNA from Awthentik, took DNA from the Beard, made a graphics department. We made an editing department. We got the poll department, we got the social media department.
Hey,
am I missing any departments?
Listen, the training department, because you talked about DNA, if you're taking our DNA, those people are going to be pretty athletic. So shout out to the training department.
I can only speak for myself when it comes to the athletic genes.
Listen, I'm a world-class athlete.
You got till April, bro.
I've been starting to work a little bit on releasing some of the tension in the muscle.
Okay. What does that workout consist of?
That's Awthentik in the Beard after dark.
Put that pause.
Just a little bit more stretching, morning stretching.
Old men think like that's a workout. Get up, me. Yeah, I did a little workout today. Did a little bit more stretching than normal. I can't wait. But Jefe, I know Hefe's in the building. I was talking about you, Jefe, like when we were talking about the Beard. We made a bet with him about his 40-yard dash time that it couldn't breach under 5 seconds. I think it's going to be 6 for real. But he says he could run a 4.68 40. So we're trying to see if he can get there. But I talked about your throw at the combine with Talking Giants, man. Yeah, Jefe can throw that football, man. I saw him throw it like a good. It was at least 50. At least 50.
This is saying Dak beats Brady. Brady is old. Purdy beats Geno. Purdy has Moxie.
Moxie.
Yeah.
If Dak beats Purdy, they're gonna just talk about, he's a rookie.
Yeah, but the good thing is Dak doesn't have to play defense. So
yeah, that's facts. They're gonna pin the quarterbacks up. Let's take a little quick commercial break, man. Do a little Giant overreaction promo one time, and when we come back, we're gonna be doing our trivia segment here right before the Giants preview. So y'all hang tight. For me, I'm gonna say for now, this is an overreaction. All right, y'all know what it is, man. Monday, going to be a major Giant overreaction. Win or loss, that's definitely a must pull up and rock out with us. Going to be a great time, man. The Monday Giant overreaction we just did this past weekend when we win a game like that, the vibes were just absolutely on 5,000, man. The chat was booming. It was a great time, man. My hairs were standing up. Y'all definitely put the battery in my back for that episode, so make sure y'all pull up on Monday. That's going to be a vibe. Maybe I'll bring you over on that one, the Beard. You haven't been on a Giant Overreaction all year long. We might need your services this Monday.
We shall see. And big shout out to our guy who is still working on that Washington defense buzzsaw. Leroy over at Blood, Sweat, and Cell for the $5 super chat says, does Tim realize we do not mean run the 40-yard when you are 40 years old?
Yeah, you definitely about to be 39 here in about a month, if that, in a couple of weeks.
We're going to be live on my birthday.
Okay, this is new news to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, it falls on a Tuesday. So
awesome. Awesome.
Big shout out to Leroy. We appreciate you, buddy.
Big shout out to Leroy one time. And I see Brian is in the building as well, man. Definitely appreciate you pulling up, Brian. And that $1.99 super chat one time.
Shout out to Brian for the $1.99 super chat. Says, I learned what hit the gritty means.
Yeah,
DJ
you look
that.
Like you learned what it is today.
That's
but Brian was in the spaces earlier today, and he's like, listen, guys, I know these game plans. You guys, we were talking for a minute, and he's like, I'm concerned about this and that, but I got to know one thing. What is this thing everyone's talking about, the gritty that Daniel Jones was doing in practice today? So he definitely got a chance to learn what the gritty was. We didn't get to see Daniel Jones actually doing the gritty. They kind of blocked him as if he was an injured player on the field, but, I'm sure that they enjoyed that. It looked like it was very lighthearted practice for the New York Giants today, man. So the vibes is up. I'm grateful to see that right there because you don't want a team to be too tight entering a game like this. You want to be loose and relaxed. A lot of fans are saying we playing with house money. I'm sure the players aren't approaching it like that, but it was good to see them having a good time at practice today.
Listen, you want to talk about the beard in his 40. Don't forget the beard can dance too.
Yeah, we got to see you do the. All right, so when you do the 40 and you break the record for the 4.68, we'll see you do the gritty.
It'll be a whole thing, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, man. So we're gonna be giving away this Lawrence Taylor vintage jersey. Shout out to the homie Cernock. For those of y'all just pulling up, let me show it to y'all one more time. This is tonight's prize. It's going to be a Lawrence Taylor jersey, man. Stitched numbers. Y'all know how much I've been talking about the New York Giants cheaping out on their jerseys this year. I don't know if you saw the message that was in the back of Kenny Galladay's locker when he was doing an interview. It pretty much said, after every game, make sure to not sign and give away your jerseys because we are going to be wearing the white uniforms for the rest of the playoffs. And pretty much like the manufacturer needs all of these jerseys. So they're wearing the same exact jerseys, same old iron-on, ridiculously cheap-looking jerseys the Giants have been wearing all season long. And it's not a Nike thing because I have a Nike jersey that is from 2019, Eli Manning, that the numbers are stitched on it. But this year, they're not selling no stitched jerseys, no none of that. So for whoever wins this jersey, this is definitely going to be a vibe. And I think I brought back, I sent an email to the graphics department one time, and I was like, listen, y'all, I need y'all to dig up this throwback graphic that I remember from like season one time as I cue in these jazz flutes one time.
It's back.
Is trivia time. Well. All right, so hopefully a lucky New York Giants fan is going to be winning that Lawrence Taylor jersey today, man. If you've been paying attention to my Twitter for the past, I'll say 2 weeks, there was a bit of a hint, I'll say, on my Twitter. So I'll give y'all a little bit of one-up on that one time for the people who do follow me on Twitter. And those of y'all who don't follow me in the beard on Twitter, make sure y'all go over to Twitter, follow us. These are our handles right here. He is at Tim Walk on Water 2, kind of little right there. And I am at Awthentik on Twitter. So this is going to be a good one here. This is going to be a good one. I'd say on a scale, difficulty scale, 1 to 10, this is probably about a, Beard, you know the question. So what would you say?
7?
About a 7? Okay. I said last week's was a 7. It was like the first 3 answers, man.
I just like to say 7.
7? All right, so the Beard says about a 7. I'm going to say it's about an 8.2 on a scale of 1 to 10 one time. Make sure you got your Google fingers ready. Make sure you got your extra tab open on the side so you can hit Google as fast as you can. Your thinking caps on. The Beard, go over the rules for them one time so they know what's up, so they don't get nothing confused when they see how things are looking in the chat.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, the rules and the regulations of trivia time here at Awthentik and the Beard. You're going to put the answer in the chat. Now remember, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be the first person that we see on our end, which may look different than what you see on your end due to different internet speeds and lags. So in order to be fair here at Awthentik and the Beard, we have to go by what we see in our chat first. So, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for trivia time?
Great job, Beard. Great job. Way to set that up. All right, y'all. Today's trivia question, let me make sure I got it here and I don't hit the wrong button here, is what year did the Giants introduce the helmet with the underlined, italicized Giants logo? See how fast we coming in here. Make sure you let me know which name you see first in the chat, Beard, and we'll see if we can't find ourselves a winner here one time. Hey, I think I see. Them numbers came in so fast, bro.
So fast.
I think I see one. Let me see. Yeah, I think I see one. Let me. Oh, I see you already hit me in the private chat. Yes. I concur.
Okay. All right. Let me go back and scroll back and make sure I see the right winner. I think I see.
All right, y'all. And the answer is in 1976, when the Giants stepped onto the field at Giants Stadium, they had another new logo, the italicized and underlined Giants one. The year before this, in 1975, they had the logo for just 1 year. That was the double-lined NY. They took that same uniform, popped up with a new logo. The 70s, things was popping, man. Striped socks, triple stripes on the sleeves, tube vibes. And we got the New York Giants legacy helmet. The first name that we saw in our chat, shout out to the gang one time, because them answers was coming in hot, was our brother, Chris Peace. And I think this jersey is probably going to fit Chris Peace perfectly, man. Big shout out to Chris Peace, man, today's winner of the New York Giants. Beautiful jersey, too, man. This one is Lawrence Taylor. And shout out to Cernox Connection for sponsoring tonight's gift. He gave us 3 different gifts, so make sure y'all tune in. We might be giving away stuff on the Giant Overreaction. We might be giving away stuff on the Tuesday recap show. We might be giving away stuff on the Thursday preview show. Who knows, man? But we're gonna be trying to give away as much stuff as we can possibly give away, because we got a ton of stuff. Also, I want to add something to the pot here for y'all one time. My homie Patrick, who sponsored the Y.A. Tittle jersey, which is on its way, actually. That was who won that? That was Steven Arce, I believe, that won that one.
I think so, yeah.
That's going to be on its way. He's also going to be donating a signed Amani Toomer Michigan jersey as well. So we're going to have that in the mix. We got a ton of jerseys we're giving away. Shout out to Cernox for sponsoring today's episode. His links are in the chat. If you're interested in getting your hands on some throwback memorabilia from the New York Giants, man, some apparel, definitely hit that link, man. His store is full of goods, man. And again, big shout out to Cernox, man. He's always tuned in, always rocking with our show, man. And it's a blessing to have somebody like that in our community to sponsor that Lawrence Taylor jersey. That thing is fresh. If that thing was a medium, I was going to have to be like, yo, Cernox, one of these gifts is going to have to make its way over here to Awthentik's crib one time. But big shout out to Chris Peace, man. That's awesome that Chris Peace got that answer. I got to meet Chris Peace at the Washington game versus the New York Giants this year, man. Hella cool dude, man. We chopped it up and had a great time. Throws down on the grill, and we drank good, man. It was a celebration. And I hope that this game that we're about to talk about next, when all's said and done, I hope that we'll be celebrating when this one is over, too. So let's get off into this Giants at Eagles game one time.
Giants are on the board with 11:16 to go here in the third.
All right, y'all. This one is at 8:15 on Saturday night. Primetime Daniel Jones. Thank God that man got his first primetime win before this game. I would have been definitely shaking in my boots a little bit. The Eagles are favored by 7.5 from what I saw. Last week, the Giants defeated the Minnesota Vikings 31-24. The Eagles were on a first-round bye, their second of the year. You know, the Giants had 2 byes this year, too, and it was in the second Eagles meeting when the Eagles defeated the Giants 22-16. In the first meeting between these two teams this season, the Eagles beat the brakes off the New York Giants. We got a couple little points in garbage time there, but it was 48-22 nonetheless. The Eagles and the Giants have met 4 times in the postseason, each team winning twice. Each team has won one divisional round against each other, and each team has won one wild card for 2 wins apiece. The Giants have lost 9 straight games in Philadelphia. The last time the Giants won in Philadelphia was in 2013, and the last time the Eagles were a #1 seed in the NFC, they won the Super Bowl in 2017. So I'm a little bit worried about this game. Jalen Hurts, we know he had the shoulder injury, but he was 14-1 this year before he went out with that shoulder injury before the Dallas Cowboys game. At full strength, Hurts was great versus the Giants. He had 294 combined passing and rushing yards and 3 touchdowns in that dominating performance. Again, it was 48-22. That was at MetLife Stadium. The Giants were missing a lot of players in that last matchup, and I heard a lot about this in the spaces today. You know, we were missing Leonard Williams. We were missing Adoree Jackson. We was missing Xavier McKinney in that first matchup this year. And every one of them was talking about this in that space. I promise you, everyone was talking about this. But the Eagles were also missing a player in that first matchup. They were missing tight end Dallas Goedert for that first matchup. And in 3 games since returning, Goddard has 12 receptions for 158 yards. Now, we know how the Giants fared up against the Minnesota Vikings tight end in that first wild card round. Did not do well. In 2 games versus TJ Hockenson here, the Giants allowed 23 receptions for 238 yards and 2 touchdowns. 27 targets went to TJ Hockenson in those 2 games. TJ Hockenson had 2 of his top 3 performances this season versus the New York Giants. Now, also the Eagles are supposed to get back Pro Bowl right tackle Lane Johnson. He's supposed to return after 2 games. We don't know if he'll be 100%, but I'm sure he doesn't want to miss out on a playoff matchup like this one. The Giants offense played fantastic against the Minnesota Vikings in a wild card matchup. Daniel Jones in particular, 24-35, 301 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He had 17 rushes for 78 yards. He had 4 kneels. So everyone, you know, I saw all these national analysts on TV like, oh, he had 17 carries. It took him 17 carries. Well, 4 of those were kneels, took away some of his yards, and we can't count kneels as rushing attempts. So y'all should do a little bit more research. Goes to show y'all really not looking at the New York Giants. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. But Daniel Jones was the first quarterback in NFL history with 300 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 70 or more rushing yards in a playoff game. So he stands alone in that category. Definitely balled out. First time all year having multiple passing touchdowns in consecutive games. You know, when I've been talking about Brock Purdy, that's what's been so impressive about Brock Purdy to me, because I keep my eyes on that with Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones has only done it 4 times in his entire career, had consecutive games with multiple passing touchdowns. So Daniel Jones is getting hot at the perfect time right now, okay? Balling out towards the end of the season. I'd say the one thing that scares me a little bit is that it's come against, you know, a bit of weaker competition when you talk about the defenses we've gone up against. The Minnesota Vikings defense. The Colts defense was a little bit better, but that team was pretty much clocked out with their season over. Saquon in that game against the Minnesota Vikings, 14 touches for 109 total yards. He had 53 rushing. And Isaiah, say it with me, Hodgins balled the hell out, man. 8 receptions for 105 yards, 1 touchdown on 9 targets. He had the long reception of 32 yards in that game. The Giants offense had 5 plays of over 20 yards in that game. This is something that I'm just not used to. But again, this came against the Minnesota Vikings. So going up against the Philadelphia Eagles here, in a game where the New York Giants lost the first 2 matchups, and we know how hard it is to beat a team 3 times in a row, the Tampa Bay Bucks of 2020 can definitely attest to that, when they did it against the Saints and a few other teams in the playoffs that they beat on their route to the Super Bowl and getting that extra ring for Tom Brady. What's your thoughts on this Giants matchup against the Eagles?
Well, you know, it's interesting because before we get to my roadmap, I have to, you know, explain that I went and tried to look at the games. It's difficult because, you know, you really only have that first game as a sample, okay? Because the second game, you know, the Giants didn't play their starters for the, you know, their main starters, obviously. And then when you look at Philly's losses, because usually when I try to, you know, gather the data, shout out to the data department here at Awthentik in the Beard. I try to gather, you know, data from games that Philadelphia lost so that I can use that as, you know, what the Giants need to do. But most of Philly's losses came without Jalen Hurts. So yeah, it's the data is a little bit skewed here between the Giants and the Eagles, and then the Eagles' losses. So, you know, I had to kind of dig in a little bit, and obviously We got some insider information here. Big shout out to Behind the Fiends for the $5 super chat. Says it was reported today that Hurts was favoring the shoulder in ball protection drills yesterday. If true, that could play a major factor in him scrambling.
Facts. Big facts
Now,
right there.
There's one thing about Jalen Hurts, I think, whether you're a Giants fan, an Eagles fan, a Cowboys fan, a Commanders fan, you can kind of realize, I would hope by this point, is that Jalen Hurts is a gamer. Okay, Jalen Hurts is going to go out there and he's going to put it all on the line. That guy wants to win football games.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're going to get a ending like you got in the first matchup. I just think that these two teams, more so the Giants, are obviously a completely different team than they were in that game against the Philadelphia Eagles that they lost, right? And I think that, the Philadelphia Eagles, if Jalen Hurts would have never gotten hurt, I would have no problems. I wouldn't think twice about, picking the Eagles to win this game. And that's not saying that because of Jalen Hurts' injury is why Philadelphia is going to lose. I just think that to kind of go into what I forgot who it was because the chat's booming right now. 116 of you guys, 124 of you guys. Somebody said that, the Giants are hot. They have this momentum. The Eagles are rusty. They're a little bit cold. And that's not just because of the bye week. It's true. Like, it's not that they're cold, that they're rusty, but when you play with the same guys week after week after week, you build up a natural chemistry momentum. And I think the Giants, and this, go once again, throw out who they're playing. Like you play who's against you on the field. The Giants have this momentum swing in their favor right now. We talk about momentum so much in game. A lot of times you got to look at momentum outside of the game too, as a overall, as a team moving forward from week to week to week. And I think the Giants have learned to take the training wheels off of Daniel Jones. And I think that has helped the momentum of the team overall. It's just with the Philadelphia Eagles, there's a lot that they can do offensively, defensively, and they've done it on multiple occasions throughout the year, whereas the New York Giants are kind of just now getting to that point over the last couple of weeks. And I think that's something that you have to take into consideration here when weighing these two teams together as well.
Yeah.
And it's obviously an interesting, third time's a charm, or three strikes and you're out, whatever one of those idioms you want to come up with for threes, but big shout out to Lax044 for the $4.99 super chat. I've been saying it since last week. If he isn't healthy and can't run their offense, a lot less dynamic and not as potent, his health is the key. I think that's very true.
It's important.
It's definitely important. But I feel like if Philadelphia can come up with a game plan, because sometimes I feel like Philadelphia's offensive coordinators and head coaches and stuff, sometimes I think they overthink things just a tad. They might come out passing when you think they're supposed to be running. And, sometimes you just do what you do well. Just do it, okay? And that's run the ball for the Philadelphia Eagles. And we know the New York Football Giants have had some issues to stopping the run at times. And then obviously we talked about this with San Francisco. The Philadelphia Eagles have a ton of weapons too. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, we'll throw Quez Watkins as the wide receiver 3 is kind of a question mark sort of situation. We talked about that.
He can make some big plays.
Yeah, he can make some big plays though. He can do that sort of KJ Osborne thing. Whereas if you lose track of him, he can beat you deep. And we know Jalen Hurts can get the ball down there. I think that's another thing, too, that the New York Giants have to be very careful of is penalties. Because the Philadelphia Eagles are especially Jalen Hurts are really good using their brain on the field. And when I say that, it means, drawing those penalties down the field, those pass interference plays. You've seen it time and time again with the Eagles on these deep passes, drawing those pass interference penalties. So that's something you have to kind of be very... Yeah, you have to be very careful of that with the Philadelphia Eagles. So there's so many parts that are going to come down to this game. I have narrowed it down to 6. We are at 6. I don't know, because last time I was getting some half bulletin points here or there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So there might be One.
You know, it's kind of like, let me tell you what the last roadmap was. It was like, look, we're going to stop at the 7-Eleven, but they got a gas station right there as well. So we're going to go in and get some snacks we're going to get gas. That's kind of what it was like.
Yes. Shout out to 7-Eleven gas, too. Big shout out to Zach for the $2 super chat. Says the Giants need long drives that end in touchdowns.
Facts, man. Big shout out to Zach today, too, man. Been supporting the channel heavy, yo. Definitely appreciate
like
that.
where your
And
head
dropping
is
some
at.
nuggets.
Yeah,
I got a little pushback for you. Now, undeniably, the New York Giants are coming into the playoffs hot. That's a fact, right? And we actually, as Giants fans, count the first Minnesota Vikings matchup as a part of that momentum because of how well we played, although there were some major mistakes in that game. With the Philadelphia Eagles, I think people are kind of inflating about how much they lack momentum coming into the playoffs. Because this is the thing. You remove their best player on offense pretty much because none of this goes without Jalen Hurts at the quarterback position. They got great weapons on the outside, solid running back in Miles Sanders, great tight end with Goddard, all of that, right? But none of this moves without Jalen Hurts, the quarterback. He is the guy. He is the X factor, right? All those other players on the offense, they all seem to put up the same amount of numbers that they would normally put up in a game where Jalen Hurts was out there. You look at the Dallas Cowboys game, they put up a ton of points in that game. Both wide receivers definitely got off in that game. You look at the Saints game, the biggest problem was scoring. They could not score. Devonta Smith had a great game that game. A.J. Brown also had a great game, especially considering they had a backup quarterback out there. What were they missing? The red zone maniac, who is Jalen Hurts. The Giants are going to have to figure out how to contain Jalen Hurts. That's the number one thing. And as far as just that momentum, I just feel like there's some smoke to it right now. People are thinking that, the Philadelphia Eagles are backing into the playoffs kind of dry a little bit. But we thought kind of the same thing about the Dallas Cowboys, and they came out here against an inferior team against the Bucs and definitely handled business. And I think that with the Philadelphia Eagles, the momentum is still there. It's all about Jalen Hurts being healthy. And I saw Zach talking about it. I saw Behind the Fiends talking about it as well. If the shoulder injury is a problem and they can't run that normal style of offense that they want to run, I think it can hurt them a little bit, a little pun intended there. I think it hurt them a little bit, but still, I know they were going up against our backups, but they still put up a good amount of points against our backups. The Philadelphia Eagles are a team that when things go wrong, the one position that always seems to be sound and ready to go is the quarterback position this season. Jalen Hurts has had games where everything around him was not going right, and I think back to the Indianapolis Colts game as that game. They could not get the running game going. The wide receivers weren't going, and the Washington game was another one. Technically, they had y'all on the ropes ready to beat y'all, and Quez Watkins fumbled that game away. And then you end up getting a pick six, I believe it was, or it was like some late touchdown fumble recovery, which made it a 2-score game, which in reality, that was a 1-score game when you really look at it. I know on the box it says otherwise. To me, this Eagles team, the only thing that they got going up that's against them is 2 weeks of rest. But that could also be looked at as a positive if they come out here and blow the socks off the Giants.
With Jalen Hurts' shoulder.
With the injury, and we talked about this. Should Jalen Hurts play the last week of the season? And I was like, man, look, if he's not ready and he's not at least 80% to go out there and play and execute this offense, then keep him on the bench. They ended up playing him. They played him reserved. You saw a very reserved game plan from the Philadelphia Eagles in that game against the Giants. And they just kept it cool. It was a very vanilla-style offense. I think they knew that they could see us later on in the playoffs because the Giants were already solidified, locked in at the number 6 seed at that point. So you're looking at it like we're going to get our first-round bye. If the Giants win, we're going to have to see them again. Why are we going to let the cat out the bag and show all the tricks this game just to try to get a win to be the number 1 seed in the NFC, which that there is value to that. I understand that. But at the same time, I think that they didn't really show you what they're capable of. And I think a lot of Giants fans are running with that, thinking that means that the Philadelphia Eagles just aren't hot coming into the playoffs.
And I think you're 100% correct on that, ideology behind the lack of momentum that Philadelphia has. And I think a lot of that also has to do with holding the Eagles to a high standard based upon the run that they were on at one point in the season.
Yeah,
so it's almost like you feel like, oh my God, they lost 2 games.
Yeah,
they're
and
in trouble.
The game against Justin Fields and the Bears. Who I know they got the number 1 pick and they only won like 3 games or 4 games, whatever it is. I still think, man, they were a pretty decent team. They weren't a pushover squad where it was just like, you looking at that like we're just going to beat this team and it's going to be easy. Fields is playing some of his best football as a pro, and I think that they just lack weapons over there. A ton of 1-score games from the Chicago Bears this year too, and that was one of them.
It's the big difference between the Bears and the Vikings. I mean, the Vikings could have
easily
Giants.
Been in. We had 7 of them things.
Yeah, not Washington. No. Big shout
Yeah,
out
not
to
watching.
Behind the Fiends for the $2 super chat. Says New York needs to come out, score quickly from the jump. I also think that's important. I think that's kind of important in almost any game for any team, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It makes things more difficult when you don't do that, and
Yeah,
it goes back
Giants
to momentum.
make the game way more difficult when they only put up 7 in the first half. And
Yeah,
they did that
absolutely.
a ton in those first games. And then we had like fourth quarter Giants for like 5 straight weeks where we had to win the game in the fourth quarter. I don't want to go into this game trying to do that. If it has to be that and we have a chance to win the game, then so be it. But I don't want to go into this game and not be able to do exactly what Behind the Fiends is saying here. Get out on that scoreboard quickly. That's what we did against the Minnesota Vikings. Our defense didn't quite show up in that game as well as we wanted to. Kirk Cousins comes out on the first drive. Justin Jefferson, 4 receptions on that first drive. They literally just walked it down and got a touchdown. But that answer by the New York Giants offense was everything in that game. And then they had, I believe it was 4 out of the next 5 possessions were scoring possessions. So you got to do some of the same in this game against the Eagles.
Absolutely. And big shout out to Lax0Fo for the $4.99 super chat. Says the bye week can be rough for teams. Look at the Ravens when Lamar won MVP. They had the bye and they got steamrolled by the Titans and Henry, who were hot. So,
Yep.
I mean, it's hit or miss with the bye. Like, sometimes
It's
I don't know.
actually more miss. It's more miss. I was watching
More
Pat
miss.
McAfee today, and they talked about spreads when you come out of the bye and you're in the divisional round. It was like a 30% chance of winning. 70% of the time, the underdogs would win that game. So, I've always talked about this, especially if you're trying to rest your starters in the last week of the season and then go into the playoffs, having that bye. Now you're talking 3 weeks of you chilling on the sidelines, not playing game speed football. There is a momentum thing that happens to this, especially with winning. I don't care what nobody says. There's a momentum thing that does happen. And that's the thing that I think people are going to look at with the Eagles. If they go out here and they lose the game, people are going to say, oh, Jalen Hurts' injury and the time off, they were a little bit, cold coming into the playoffs, and the Giants took advantage of that.
Yeah. Big shout out to Zach for the $2 super chat. Says, if the Giants win the toss, do you defer or receive?
I defer. Getting the ball at the half is everything.
It's tough because I see both sides of the coin.
I like that. That was good. That was good.
If you can take the ball and grab the game by the horns, and march down the field and score, it's fantastic. But I feel like it can backfire if you get the ball and then you go 3 and out. And then Philadelphia gets the ball again in the second half, and you're like in a position where you're already down. It can completely backfall. So I think the smart thing to do.
Being that the Eagles are the juggernaut offense that have been that throughout the year, if I was the Eagles, I might receive. Being that we're the New York Giants, I'm deferring because that is what's so important. Close out that second quarter so that you don't allow the Eagles to gain that momentum. Maybe you put up the points before the half, and then you get the ball. You could come out there in that second half, score, and you might be able to try to put that game away pretty early. We saw it in the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Chargers, right? If they weren't getting the ball at the half in that game after Trevor Lawrence threw 4 interceptions in the first half, you might have been able to call that game over.
All right. I think the real question is, though, are you calling heads or are you calling tails?
Tails never fails.
Tails never fails. That's why we're authentic in the beard, ladies and gentlemen. Behind the Fiends for $5 super chat. Says Philly has been a first half team all year. So take that away from them and have them go into the locker room behind. I understand that.
Yeah.
The only problem here is just because you win a toss and you score first doesn't mean that you're going to be ahead.
That would be an assumption to say that he's saying it to receive, though, from the other super chat.
Yeah, okay.
So he could just be just saying, like, get up on them in that first half, just in general. Could be that, too. And I totally agree. Like, that's what you got to do. Philadelphia has put teams away in the first half in multiple games this year. Minnesota Vikings comes to mind. The Detroit Lions, they damn near put them away in the first half, and the Detroit Lions started pressing them a little bit in the second half. It ended up being a 3-point victory for the Philadelphia Eagles. But plenty of games where they've just coasted to victory this year after the damage that they've done in the second quarter in particular. So I know that they're capable to score in the second half, but it's all about that. Don't get blown out in that second quarter and you be down 2-3 scores going into the half. This game is virtually over at that point.
Yeah, I think the Giants are going to be better off if they're not necessarily playing from a large deficit behind. And when I say that, 10 points or more at any given time point during the game, it's just, it can be trouble at that point. And big shout out to our guy, No Mets, No Nets, No Jets, says, I don't have the stats, but I believe every time, most times, the Giants deferred, we've won.
Oh, that's gangster. That's gangster.
Very
I hope that's true, and I hope that's the way that the toss goes. Big shout out to Eli Rax from NY Revival in the chat one time, man. Gang is in the building today, man. Big shout out to all of y'all for pulling up for this this divisional round preview that we're doing here, man. And make sure y'all pull up Saturday morning. We're going to be doing a show as well. We're going to be doing some over-unders, and it's kind of like our second chance, I guess, to maybe make another score in case we want to change our stance on it. The Beard went 27-20 for the San Francisco 49ers in the matchup against the Cowboys. I went 28-27 in favor of the Dallas Cowboys. But make sure y'all pull up Saturday. We're going to be doing all the Saturday games, over-unders, real cool, laid-back vibe. Same thing for the Sunday games. And then Monday, Giant Overreaction. Tuesday, we'll be doing the recap. It's gonna be another long week over here at Awthentik and the Beard. But you already know, we wouldn't be nowhere else in the world, man. It's definitely a vibe here.
It's lit. And
you ready for this roadmap?
Yeah, let's cue the sponsor, unofficially official sponsor.
Yeah, you get on the freeway. What? No, turn right. Get out of the lane. No. Okay, get the procedure. Just get out the lane.
I feel like it works better if I say officially unofficial. I think I'm going to go with that from now on.
Oh, did you say unofficially?
Unofficially official.
Yeah, unofficially official. That's it.
Unofficially official?
Yeah.
That's it? All right.
That's it.
Shout out to Waze, our unofficially official sponsor of the Roadmap to Victory. The Beard has concocted some more numbers, ladies and gentlemen.
Where are we at today?
I got the computers putin', as the great philosopher Cameron once said, okay? And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Beard's roadmap. If the New York Giants want to win this game, this is what must happen. Okay, first up, we are going back to the old bag of tricks. We're going back to what got us here. We are going back to what gave birth to the roadmap way back when, and that is RTDB. I am going to need the New York Giants to have at least 30 rushing plays in this game.
Okay.
In the loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, the first loss, they only carried the ball, I believe, 24 times. I'm going to need them to have at least 30 rushing plays in this game. Next up, in the first matchup, the New York Giants got ran all over.
Spike don't care.
the Philadelphia Eagles ran for 253 yards in that loss. So, I'm not going to go all crazy. I'm going to keep it a little sane. I'm going to need the New York Football Giants to hold the Philadelphia Eagles as a team to 125 or less yards rushing. I think that that's a reasonable number that you can do and win, okay? Next up, this is going to be a two-parter, okay? This is going to be the 7-Eleven gas/munchie
Okay,
stop,
so do we have to get both of them or just one of them like last time?
We're gonna have to get both of them. We're gonna go for it.
It's all record. It's all record.
We're gonna double down here. All right, you guys know how I love my third downs, okay?
Facts.
Third downs. I'm going to need the New York Football Giants and Philadelphia Eagles to flip-flop what happened in that first matchup. In that first matchup, Philadelphia converted on more than 50% of their third downs, while the New York Giants converted on less than 50% of their third downs. So, we're going to flip it up. New York Giants, you have to convert better than 50% on third down. Philadelphia Eagles, you got to hold them to under 50% conversion rate on third down. And what that will do will help us get to the next stop on the roadmap, which is time of possession.
You already
know.
I was waiting for this one right here,
You already know that the Beard has given you multiple roadmaps this year with the Washington Commanders, one of which was very vital in taking down the Philadelphia Eagles, handing them their first loss of the season.
Facts.
You got to win the time of possession battle. But you know what? The Beard said, that's too easy. That's too easy. You got to make it a little bit difficult. So I'm going to need the New York Football Giants to win the time of possession battle by at least 8 minutes.
All right.
8 minutes.
8. All right.
8 minutes, Dougie Fresh, you're on.
I like it. I like it.
All right. And last, but certainly not least, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to need to win the turnover battle. Not tie. Okay? Don't turn the ball over. Keep it at 0. That means you only got to force 1 turnover, but you got to force a turnover. Okay? No almost,
no tie.
Maybes,
no tie.
No ties, no 0-0s, no
tie.
1-1s. I need you to win the turnover battle because, listen, you are an underdog for a reason, New York Football Giants. You are playing against a better team.
I feel like I'm listening to Coach right now. I'm on one knee. We're in a circle. A coach is standing in the middle after practice. Yo, let's get it.
But you can beat the Philadelphia Eagles if you just accomplish these roadmap stops. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the officially sponsored Waze roadmap to victory for your New York Football Giants.
Love it. Love it. We got a couple super chats to catch up on here one time.
Yes, we do. Big shout out to Behind the Scenes.
Fiends.
Excuse me. I know. It just rolled off the tongue. You know? I heard Beard say his name earlier, JJ Stokes. And I told a friend, Isaiah Hodgins, reminds me of him. Listen, JJ Stokes was a guy.
Yeah, for sure.
I loved watching me some JJ Stokes back in the day, man. I always love it when people understand some of the names because listen, sometimes these guys who are like good get lost in the shuffle of people who are bust or people who are Hall of Famers. Let's not forget to give flowers to the in-betweeners, okay?
Facts.
Let's give flowers to the
role players. The role players,
man.
Role
players. Big shout out to Behind the Fiends. We appreciate it. And big shout out to our guy, R0B, for the $2 super chat. Love you, boys. Keep killing it. And LFG New York Giants. Shout out.
Big shout out to homie Rob one time, man. Holding it down on the Spaces over there on Twitter. Did a 24-hour stream on Spaces. That might be a Guinness #1 record right there. I don't think anybody's ever done that for 24 hours. Big shout out to Rob, man. And we got one more here. This is
it's to cap off our international viewership.
Facts.
Big shout out to our guy checking in from across the globe.
Toe in the building, my God.
For the $4.99 super chat says massive salute and respects to Awthentik and the Beard and all diehard Giants fans in the building, and slap all stinky Boyd's losers out of the front door hard and fast. Forget about it. Go Giants. Salute Big Italy.
Thanks. You added that Italy. Just gave a salute.
I had
right?
to.
We got to. It's too
I'm assuming he ran out of characters in the $4.99
Facts.
spot. So, big shout out to Tudo. We appreciate you.
Big shout out to Tudo, man. Hope the surgery went well, Tudo. And I heard about the debacle at the link with you and the gang. I heard things got a little bit out of hand. But big shout out to Tudo nonetheless, man. One of the biggest supporters of the whole entire Giants community. And I also wanted to shout out the homie. Let me see. I want to scroll back here a little bit. I want to say it's Brett Carnahan, who sent in a super chat last show, right when we went off air.
When we went off air.
Yeah, and we didn't get a chance to highlight that. But big shout out to Brett one time in the building, man. Appreciate you pulling up. All right, so we all caught up? Yeah, we all caught up. All right, so I got a couple of matchups here I want to talk about that I think are really important for this game. And number one is going to be in the trenches here, man. We didn't talk about the trenches enough here. Dexter Lawrence going up against Jason Kelce. I think this is going to be probably the premier matchup of this whole entire game here. Dexter Lawrence, he led the Giants with 38 quarterback hits. He also is our sack leader with 7.5 sacks on the season. Jason Kelce is a future Hall of Famer, though. Now, Dexter Lawrence led all D tackles with 62 pressures this season, according to PFF. And Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams have more pressures than any other D tackle duo in the league. Last week, Dexter Lawrence had 8 pressures. That was courtesy of Next Gen Stats one time. That was a playoff record for the most by a defensive tackle. But again, Jason Kelce is a future Hall of Famer. And in the Eagles blowout on December 11th, Dexter Lawrence had 0 sacks and 1 quarterback hit. In 7 career games against Jason Kelce, Dexter Lawrence has 2 sacks, 6 quarterback hits. So we haven't gotten to see Dexter Lawrence in a Wink Martindale system until this year. And he has definitely thrived in that system in a major way. This is the best version of Dexter Lawrence that we have ever seen. And you heard Kayvon Thibodeau said this to him. They had the Giant sights and sounds. He went up to him, and somebody actually tried to question it when I posted it and said, I take everything that Kayvon Thibodeau says with a grain of salt, as if he was like in a press conference or something when he walked up to Dexter Lawrence and he said this. Made sure he looked him right in the eyes, bro. And literally was like, yo, dog, you are the best player I've ever played with. Straight up. And Dexter Lawrence said, I appreciate that. They said, they loved each other. I think they're going to go out here and up the ante, but I think that's one of the premier matchups. They were talking about this in the Twitter spaces earlier today, too, as well. And a lot of people were leaning towards Dexter Lawrence having the advantage in that. And, I don't know if it's an advantage, but that's going to be a matchup for the record book right there in the trenches. I also think Miles Sanders, going up against our linebackers, the Giants brought in this homie off the Detroit practice squad, Gerard Davis, a couple of games ago, and he popped off the screen, man. This dude was all over the place. He was a little reckless. Kind of reminded me, I don't know if you remember Cornelius from Center Hill that played at St. Catherine's with me. He was reckless. Tried to play the run all the time, but he was reckless. And when he was right, he was definitely cracking skulls out there on the football field. But we're going to have Jalen Smith and Gerard Davis out there trying to pretty much contain Miles Sanders and the rest of this running back core. And Miles Sanders had his best game against the New York Giants in that first matchup, 17 rushes for 144 yards. He had 5 runs of 10-plus yards. Miles Sanders this year is having had a career year, 1,269 yards this year. He was the first 1,000-yard running back, I believe, since Shady is who it was. And Miles Sanders, this is the one down for Miles Sanders here. He's had fewer than 70 yards and 0 rushing touchdowns in the last 4 games. So I don't know which version of Miles Sanders the Philadelphia Eagles are going to get, or which version of Jalen Smith and Gerard Davis the New York Giants are going to get, but I do think that that's a key matchup. And, Boston Scott is Boston Scott, and he's playing up against the New York Giants.
NFC
we know how Boston
East
Scott does.
Ball.
He's definitely a bowling ball. This dude has his best games against the Giants. In Week 18, he had only 9 carries for 54 yards. He was averaging 6 yards a carry. He had 1 touchdown. He has 11 career touchdowns total. 7 of them are against the New York Giants.
7-11.
7-11, as my man The Beard would say one time. And I just can't go a Giants little preview here without bringing these vibes in one time. You know what it is. The Beard gave you the roadmap. I'm going to give you a couple keys to victory here one time. And a lot of these, they're aligned with what The Beard was saying in his roadmap. Unofficially, official. What is it? Unofficially, officially?
Yeah, sponsored by
Unofficially, officially. Why did I agree to that? Sponsored by
It
Awthentik.
sounds better when you say it one way and then another way. I don't know. It's just, shout out Awthentik.
Yeah, until we get that paper for Waze, I don't think it really matters. But number one, you got to take care of the football. I was going to say, you said win the turnover battle. My whole thing is no more than 1 turnover offensively. I think you just got to take care of the ball. There might be a chance there where, a guy like Hassan Reddick, who definitely is going to be a guy in this game, could maybe get a blind shot on Daniel Jones, maybe get a fumble. I'm not trying to speak it into existence. That's me knocking on wood right there so it doesn't happen. Number 2, you got to limit the big plays, man. In that first matchup, the Eagles had 3 touchdowns of 30-plus yards. You cannot allow those kind of big plays to happen. Secondary is going to have to step up in this game. That Minnesota Vikings game got off to a bit of a slow start there defensively. We need to see the opposite in this game. I'm really relying on the defense. I'm not as worried about the offense as I am the defense. If you allow Jalen Hurts in this offense to come out here and put up like 34 points, you're going to limit the chances that the New York Giants have to win this game. Also, I think number 3 here, you got to stop the early rushing attack by the Philadelphia Eagles. Force them 3rd and longs. This is kind of the similar game plan we talked about going into Minnesota. Try to set them up for 2nd and 12, 2nd and 10. You make a play on 2nd down, and now we're looking at 3rd and long. Now, according to Next Gen Stats, Jalen Hurts has a 58% completion rate with a 93.1 passer rating. So keep those numbers in mind versus the blitz this season. 58% completion percentage, 93.1 passer rating against the blitz, okay? He's got a 70.5 completion percentage with a 105.6 passer rating when you don't blitz him. You going up against the blitz god one time. This is Wink Martindale. Don't go out here and just engage 8 every damn play. Understand when you got a blitz. I do think it's very important for this defense to be able to shut down the Philadelphia Eagles on first down. The big plays is important, but don't allow the big plays on first down either. Allow it to get to third down at least, and then try to force these third and longs and make a play on third and long. I felt like the Giants did a much better job on third and long against the Minnesota Vikings in the second matchup than they did in the first matchup. Now, this one to me is the number one key of them all. Y'all was talking about J.J. Stokes. Y'all was talking about Isaiah Hodgins one time. I'm going to lower the music for this because I think this is really the most important one. You cannot allow Isaiah Hodgins to get shut down in this game. The reason why this pass attack has improved so much has a lot to do with Isaiah Hodgins. Isaiah Hodgins, in the last 2 games with Jones at quarterback, has 21 targets. He's got 12 receptions and 147 yards in his last 2 games and 2 touchdowns. This guy has to be a factor in this game. Once he opens up this passing attack, I feel like then you're going to get those things open across the middle for guys like Richie James and guys like Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton had that big drop on third down in that game. It don't matter. Shake that off, get back to it. My man had so much yak in that game, and we need more of that. I saw a statistic, and let me see if I can scroll back and get to this one, if I can get to it in time. Yep. So it was 178 yards after catch versus the Vikings for the New York Giants. It was the highest of the season. 59.1 of their passing yards came after the catch. Daniel Jones threw for 301 yards. So we're talking about over 150 yards of that. 178 yards was yak in that game. So to me, the reason why this pass attack has looked so much better is because of accurate passing from Daniel Jones, great scheming up plays from Mike Kafka and Brian Dable, and these wide receivers, guys like Isaiah Hodgins, getting a little bit of separation. And with the accuracy from the throws from Daniel Jones, they're having room to be able to get the yak that's necessary to make the stat box look really good for Daniel Jones. I don't think they're doing too much different outside of the quick pass attack that they did when it started against the Washington football team, or the Washington Commanders. So I need Isaiah Hodgins to show up in this game. And I'm not saying he has to go out here and put up another 100-yard game. We'll get to that when we talk about those over-unders on Saturday morning. But he cannot have a game where it's like 2 catches for 20-something yards. You got to go out here and at least get over 50 yards for Isaiah Hodgins. And I think everything else for this wide receiver core will fall right into place. And last, to me, this is the second. I went from least important to most important, okay? This one is the most important, and I think this leans back to the number one when I was saying take care of the football. You got to protect Daniel Jones at all costs. Daniel Jones is the money. And in this game against the Eagles, the New York Giants are all money in. So protect that money. The Eagles led the NFL with 70 sacks. They had 15 more sacks than the number 2 team, which I believe is the Dallas Cowboys. They also have the number 1 pass defense in the NFL. They're only allowing 179.8 yards per game through the air. The Eagles have 4 players who have more than 11 sacks. I talked about this 2 podcasts ago. You got Josh Sweat, who is set to return. He has 11 sacks. Javon Hargraves has 11 sacks. Brandon Graham has 11 sacks. Fletcher Cox had 6 sacks on the season, or 7 sacks on the season. I'm sorry about that. And Hassan Reddick had 16 sacks on the season. Now,
that's insane.
It's insane. It's really insane when you think about it. And towards the end, if you want to talk about something that went cold for the Philadelphia Eagles, it was the sacks as far as their defense goes. They went a little bit cold in their last couple of games here. Now, Hassan Reddick likes to line up on the right side of the quarterback, so he's going to be on Daniel Jones' front side. You know what that means? He's going to be going up against Evan Neal. Yeah. Evan Neal needs to have the biggest game he's ever had of his life if the Giants want to have a chance at victory here. You talked about time of possession. I don't got to reiterate the facts about time of possession. I thought you were going to send a little bit of nod to your Washington Commanders, who not only won time of possession against the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday night, they straight up dominated time of possession against the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday night. I want to say percentage-wise, it was like 70% to 30% in time.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And the amount of plays the Washington Commanders ran in that game, it was like 70 plus to like 40. Now, we don't got to dominate it that crazy, but I do think that at least keep the time of possession close. You said we got to win it by at least 8.
8 minutes.
I'm going with the beard here. I'm hoping that the roadmap checks out and we can make it to the beach an hour early. That's what I'm hoping. And the New York Giants will be in the NFC Championship. We'll see how it goes. But I'm going to stress the fact, again, you got to protect Daniel Jones. And Evan Neal, dog, you got to have a damn game of your life, bro. The last game that you had of the season against the Philadelphia Eagles, shaky. It's been shaky for Evan Neal all year. He's the one pick in the first round. Kayvon Thibodeau been doing his thing. Evan Neal, we got a lot of question marks. I know you're a young man, and learning the right tackle position is not an easy job. It's very difficult. We need the biggest game of your life tomorrow. I'm ready to pick scores, man.
All right. Before we pick the score, big shout out to Zach for the $5 super chat. There's Lane Johnson. If Lane Johnson is out, I would expect Thibs to line up over the right side the majority of the game to exploit that matchup against possibly a backup. Even if he is in, he could still kind of exploit that, if Lane Johnson is missing a step or two, due to that injury. So that's definitely a matchup to kind of keep your eyes on, not just with Thibs, but whoever's lining up in front of Lane Johnson in this game. So for me,
and I'll tell you what, we got another super chat, and I got another comment I want to highlight because it's just a vibe one time. Big shout out to Gregory one time. This is a great comment. He says, guys, as a Cowboys fan, I would like to say that outside the Cowboys' hatred, this is a great show. Really, you guys rock. A big salute, man. That means a lot, man. We put in a lot of time and a lot of effort into this, but it's definitely not work. I try to avoid saying we put in a lot of work for this show because it's really fun to gear up and try to present game plans for y'all. And then also when we do these recaps, to have to show up and show face and own what was wrong or what was right. It's been great. It's been a fantastic year. I never thought the New York Giants would have put up a year like this, or the Dallas Cowboys, to be honest. It's amazing that 3 teams from the NFC East. I mean, the one better thing could have been if the Commanders were here. That's it. But outside of that, we got 3 out of the 4 teams here in the last bid to go to the NFC Championship. I keep having to remind myself, there's 4 games this weekend, and the Giants are a part of that. It's really ridiculous. So big shout out to Gregory one time, man. And Gregory been rocking out with us for damn near the whole year, I feel like. I want to say Gregory came from William Steele's channel over there from A to Z Dallas Cowboys. And it's been a vibe, man. We definitely appreciate you pulling up. And also this one from Brett Carnahan. I always want to say Callahan. Carnahan.
Because I always think about Callahan brake pads from Tommy Boy. Big shout out to Brett Carnahan for the $4.99 super chat. Says, thanks for the shout out from the previous stream. Means a lot, boys. Let's get this dub our way, Giants fan LFG. Yeah. Shout out to you, Brett. We appreciate you.
Let's get to work, man. Big shout out to Brett. And I see Bookend, he not talking about the hatred that comes from the chat. He's talking about the flowers that come from this side of the table. Yeah. But it's all love. It's all love, man. The beard's always teasing, always poking fun at y'all Cowboys fans. That rivalry, that's the biggest rivalry here in D.C. That might be the biggest rivalry in the NFL, Cowboys-Washington. That might be the biggest rivalry.
Some may say it's not a rivalry if only one side wins.
How's the record going for that one? Is Cowboys up or y'all up?
I think we were pretty close, 500-ish. Biggest shout out to the Eagles. I almost hit a little rhythm there. I said, big of the shout out.
Yeah, I heard the big of the shout out
to all the Eagles fans in the chat. Weapon X NFL Eagles, voice of the Eagles.
Digging
Giants really think they gonna win.
That's we not walking in OD confident, but I mean, if I was you, I wouldn't walk into this game thinking the New York Giants are going to be a pushover. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
We had a giant overreaction on Monday that said the Eagles should be nervous the way the New York Giants have been playing as of late. And we know to beat a team 3 times, we know how that goes. I feel good. I don't know if I feel confident, but I feel really good. I feel like the Giants have a chance. I really feel good about it.
I don't think that anybody who's looking at this game realistically and non-biased doesn't think that the Giants have a chance to win this game. I really do. And I think if the Giants can do, what we talked about between the roadmap and the keys, because in order to get somewhere that you're guided to by a roadmap, you got to have the keys to start
sure.
the car.
Sometimes I know you got push to start these days, right?
Listen, man, we're old school. I'm not.
You remember the Civic
key.
back in the day? That was the most impressive thing in like 1999.
Oh
hit that little
God,
button,
yeah.
hit that little button, and start the car. They're like, how did you do that?
So cold outside. Don't worry, I got you.
I got you. Let's get this thing warmed up.
But I want to pick the Giants. I really do, guys. And like I said,
He's about to let us down right here.
Don't hate me, Giants fans. Don't hate me. Thanks, Gene, for putting in, and Monique. Thanks, guys. Okay.
76-48-2.
Not very close to the 500. I thought I was saying.
Not a little.
I really think that the Giants have a chance to win this game, and I'm not saying that they won't win. Okay, and I'm not saying that I might not change my mind come Saturday. But I have to stick by, keeping things legit here at Awthentik and the Beard. And I do that, believe it or not, when you guys don't think that I am. But I just think that the Philadelphia Eagles are the better team. I think that the Giants have made extremely impressive strides. And I think that this is not a fluke. This is not a one-year deal thing. I think the Giants have put themselves in position to be I think the Giants have put themselves in a position to be a great team moving forward with what they've done. But I think eventually, every carriage turns into a pumpkin. And I feel like this might be that night. They're booing me in the chat.
Yeah, I see some boos.
But listen, like I said, I might
y'all can drop them boos for the Beard. Do your thing.
I might change my mind come Saturday.
You got a couple more days.
I do have a couple of days. But I feel like I would be doing you guys injustice if I just picked you so you guys would like me more. Okay? So I am going to take the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game. My God.
Friendship ended with the Beard.
I'm going to take the the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game by a final score of 24-23.
Oh, you got it that close? You're going to have a close game like that and not pick the Giants to win it?
No, because then
tomatoes.
I feel like
S.H.U. Carter put the tomatoes in the chat.
It's my way of saying that I think this game will be close, and I think that
Boo this man. You remember Half-Baked? Boo this man.
I feel like the Giants are gonna cover, but I just don't.
24-23. I'm upset with the score prediction, man. I'm upset with the score prediction. Well, man, y'all know what it is on my side, man. Big dog vibes all day. All day. It's time. I told y'all, as long as the New York Giants are here and they playing a game in the playoffs, there's no way in hell I'm not picking the Giants. Now I just got to think about how I'm realistically going to get to this score here. All go right. It's going to be close. It's definitely going to be close. I'm going to go. The Giants put up 31 on the Vikings. There's no way they put up more. I don't even think they're going to get to 30 against the Eagles, and there's no way they'll put up 31. If they do, more power to them. I'm going to go. It's got to be less touchdowns. I'm going to go 2 field goals, 3 touchdowns. So I got the Giants winning this one 27-24 New York Giants. Is that where it's at?
That's where it's at, man. It's gonna be a great game.
They put up 22 against the backups. And I know it wasn't the same game plan they're going to present in the playoffs here, obviously. I got to pick the gang, man. Y'all know what it is, man. Y'all know what it is, man. I got to pick the gang. I got to. 27-24. So I got the Cowboys winning their game 28-27. And I got the Giants winning 27-24. You want to mark them down? Or you want me to mark them down? I can mark them down.
You mark those down. I'll take care of the overs and unders later.
I got you. Let's put these right at the top of this one. So 27-24 Giants. And we got 28-27 Cowboys. You know what's interesting about this is I'm a game back from you right here, and we picked opposite for both games. This is my only chance to catch up for real. Going to the championship weekend with a good game up on you.
Man, I might change my mind between now and.
Oh man, it's Thursday scores, man. That's Saturday, Sunday stuff. Yes, it's asterisks next to those scores, man. You know, you said 24-23 Eagles.
Yep.
And then you said 27-24 Niners.
27-20.
27-20. 1 score game for the Niners. Okay. It's a little bit nerve-wracking that could be the last preview of the year for the Giants for me, you know?
It's always, other things to preview, drafts, off-season acquisitions.
Sound like a real Commanders fan right now.
I know, right?
Nah, shout out to the homie, though, that was the Eagles fan that pulled up in the building. What was his name again?
He's the voice of the Eagles. That's all.
The voice of the Eagles, yeah. I hope you still tuned in, the voice of the Eagles. Win or loss, pull up on Monday, man. It's going to be a vibe, man. You can come in either talk a lot of shit and tell me how you told me so, or you can, as they like to say on Twitter in the Caucasian world, eat crow when you pull up on Monday and the New York Giants win this game 27-24. They booed you, man.
They booed me. Yeah, I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. Like I've been riding with the Giants all year long, man. You guys know that.
I don't know why you didn't just ride with the Giants for this one, man. It's one more game. If you think we're gonna lose, it's just one game. You want to know how the poll ended up for this one?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say 93% of the chat picked the Giants to win this game.
A little high there. We had 117 votes. I think that's the most votes we've ever had in a poll. 76% said the New York Giants, 23% for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Not bad. It's good. I did not become a Giants fan. I just believed in what they were. I believed in the Giants. I believe in their team, man. Listen, I hope your fried rice is
undercooked. Damn.
I keep it real, man. I thought, when I don't think the Cowboys are gonna win, I don't pick the Cowboys, and I picked against
very
my
often.
Commanders.
They called you out on that. You were 4-13 against the Cowboys this year. They called you out on that one.
I picked against my own Commanders multiple times this year, man. Listen, I hope I'm wrong. Okay, there's nothing more than I want than to see the New York Giants make it to the Super Bowl. That's what I want. But listen, sometimes, maybe it's reverse psychology, guys. Maybe it's reverse psychology. You never know with Awthentik in the Beard. You never know.
Hopefully, man. We'll see how things go, man. Again, make sure y'all pull up on Saturday. We're going to be doing the over-unders for the 2 Saturday games, which I believe is the Jaguars and the Chiefs is the first game on Saturday.
Yep.
And then we got, man, I'm really looking forward to that Bills-Bengals matchup. That's going to be a great game. Dallas Cowboys in the primetime last spot both weeks. I think that's interesting. You guys trying to raise those TV ratings, it kind of looks like over there at the NFL.
Yes, I've picked the Cowboys before, Monique.
4 times this year, to be specific. It was 4 times. But somehow he had them at 10 wins when he predicted at the beginning of the year. He wanted everybody to know his record prediction, too. I told him, I was like, I'm not going to do no record prediction this year. I'll put some stuff out on Twitter. I'm not doing one, but he definitely let it be known. First episode. Yeah, man, I got all teams winning records.
Huh?
He's 1 game short with the Washington Commanders, but 500 nonetheless. Good, Pretty good season for y'all.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Not bad at all. Oh, big shout out to my homie Keenan, man. He's a homie who supports this channel in a major way. He designed our merch as well, and he gave me the stitches that I'm rocking today with the Nipsey Hussle. I got a big Nipsey Hussle poster on my back wall here. So he sent me this. He told me I'm in an exclusive club of people who have this shirt. He's I want to say he's somewhere in the Midwest. I can't remember exactly where he's at, but he's in the Midwest. Hasn't been able to tune into a lot of shows this year because he's been working full time at a t-shirt printing job and whatnot. And he's a graphic designer. So big shout out to Keenan, man. But any last words, man, before we get up out of here, man? It's the last preview. I'm feeling some kind of way right now. I'm getting a little emotional, man.
Man, just a big shout out to the chat. The chat was absolutely phenomenal today, like every other day that we are doing this. We were crazy numbers today and awesome nuggets dropped by a bunch of people in the chat.
Facts.
Great information, great banter. You guys really drive this show. So nothing but love to all fans, whether you're Giants, Cowboys,
I'm sure they know your vibes and your personality.
Or Commanders. We definitely appreciate it.
If you get those from me, though, you got to know it's real deal. That's real talk. The beard going to give you the lighthearted humor. He just kind of, messing around with y'all. If I give you them burnt flowers, just know they're real flowers for sure. Oh, what's poppin', Ace? Give Ace some blue, man. Give him some blue. I got a little, little baby jersey we could put on Ace one time. I said big dog vibes, man. Hey, shout out to the gang again. Make sure y'all pull up on Saturday, man. We're going to be doing a 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time show. Same thing on Sunday, man. So we're going to be here. We'll let the beard see if he can maybe change his mind on that New York Giants pick. I'm sticking to the script, man. Y'all know what it is, man. LFG, NYG. The gang is in the building. Until that casket dips, y'all know what it is, man. Keep raising that bar. Keep living those dreams because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. Rest in peace to the podcast GOAT, Combat Jack, one time, man. And y'all know what it is, man. Enjoy y'all couple of days. Try to get as much sleep as you can possibly get. It's going to be tough. The New York Giants got a game on the line to go to the NFC Championship. Y'all know what it is, man. Let's get to it, man. Appreciate all y'all in the chat, man. Big vibes. Again, congratulations to Chris Peace on winning that Lawrence Taylor jersey. Send me a DM or send a beer to DM direct. You got him. That'll make it even easier. We'll get that shipped off as soon as possible. And to Steven Arch, that Y.A. Tittle jersey is on the way. Don't forget, we'll be giving away an Amani Toomer signed Michigan jersey. We got another jersey, Harry Carson jersey we're going to be giving away, and a bunch of old school stuff, man. So y'all stay tuned. Appreciate my man Cernock for sponsoring today's episode and the prize for today's episode. Y'all be good, man. We will see y'all on Saturday, man. Peace.